Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing?
All right.
How are you?
We're good. Trying a little something on a Friday. Happy Friday, everyone.
What are you trying?
I am going to exercise during the morning show.
Huh. Okay.
I know.
Like walk on a treadmill or
Like I'm going to start with the bicycle and see how we get on. I figure I'm standing for 3 hours every morning, even if I could just do 15 minutes.
Yeah. Why not?
I'm going to you can't really see the bike, but the bike is like literally right here. So I'm going to try it out today.
Nice.
This is going to be a trial run.
Can you do it while you're doing our headlines?
I'm not quite ready because I think I need to plug in another mic.
Okay.
But yeah. So the idea is to literally sit on the bike.
And tilt the camera down a little bit. Let's see the bike. Yeah.
All right.
I know if you're listening, you don't see it, but
no, it's kind of fixed.
I see the bike. I see the bike seat. Yeah.
The bike seat. Yeah. So it's a stationary bike. So
it's actually a great idea. We should do the same thing.
You're motivating me. Hold on, let me do my.
You can get those like walking treadmill desks.
We're on the air for 4 hours.
I thought of that. Oh, there we go. There's.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So aerobics in between.
That's a cool shot. I like that.
Yeah,
we could do aerobics in between each break. Like
there we go.
Yeah.
So I had the idea and decided
it's multitasking. So
that's the part. I'm gonna see how my brain works with it. Because of course, I'm talking and thinking and typing and reading messages, and so I'm trying to add one more element to it to see if it's going to work.
Yeah, you could just do the skip all that exercising stuff and just do Ozempic.
I know that's too easy. I need a challenge.
There's an easier way.
Oh my goodness. So listen, headline news this morning. A few things we're going to be touching on. The local nursing council is investigating reports of fake nurses.
What?
Certificates. Yep. It's a pretty big story. Crazy story, to be honest. We have prison literacy coordinators in court for work permit offenses. Congratulations to Constable Darren McLean, who is moving one step further to hopefully getting that pilot job with the RCIPS.
That's cool.
And what else is in the news headlines? Police warning about yet another text messaging scam pretending to be coming from your bank. I think by this point we should all be versed on all of those. Just don't fall for it.
Yeah.
Hey, really quick, I know you got to run here, but I got the email that there's a press briefing next week about the airport expansion plans. I
haven't seen that. Did that come in early this morning?
Oh, no, that came in yesterday at about 4:00.
Okay, I'll have a look. I was kind of busy yesterday, but I'll have a look.
Press briefing is set for Tuesday with the Honorable Minister Kenneth Bryan to talk about the airport's master plan and redevelopment projects. I'm just curious what those were.
No idea. First, I'm actually hearing about it. So
interesting. That's why they're having a press briefing.
Get that news. Well, I know there were rumors of like the Foster's airport going away, that was going to become like a taxiway and part of the expansion. Have
they spoken to the Foster's family about that, or
that was a long time ago? I think they have, but I remember it being a long time ago. But so I'm curious if that's still the thing or not. Anyway, catch that Sandy Show coming up on Bobo 89.1 FM. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, Sandy.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. All right, folks. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman,
Live, direct.
it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
Everybody wake up! Wake up! Everybody wake up! Wake up! Open your eyes! Jump out of bed! Open your eyes! Jump out of bed! If you're on the bottom bunk, don't bump your head! Everybody wake up! Wake up! Everybody wake up! Wake up! Find your shoes! Find your sock! Find your shoes! Find your other sock! Don't hit the snooze on your alarm clock! Everybody wake up! Wake up! 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 Toothbrush, toothpaste, now wash your face. Roll out, sound off. It's time to get up. You gotta get up. It's time to get up this morning. Everybody wake up! Wake up! Everybody wake up! Wake up! Open your eyes! Jump out of bed! Open your eyes! Jump out of bed! If you're on the bottom bunk, don't bump your head!
All right, folks. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Can you guys hear me this morning? Hello. Hi. Everybody can hear me? All right, as you can see, we got some action going on in the studio today. I'm going to be trying something here, I think. I believe that I can, oh gosh, I got to make sure that I've got this other mic probably active. All right, so we're going to be trying a little bit something here in the studio today. Everybody wake up, as you can see. All right, let me just try. So listen, I told you all about this idea that I had. And what's an idea without trying it out? So as they say, ideas are a dime a dozen, honey child. It comes to putting the pedal, what do they say? The metal to the pedal? Or no, putting the pedal to the metal or the metal to the pedal. I don't know. I always get these things completely reversed. Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? I'm going to just show you what I'm doing. You guys are going to get to see all the background stuff. Good morning to Miss Vernita. Let me put on my glasses. I can see Bagwan. What's going on? Oh, yes. Hold on. Before I start doing any of this, let me go ahead and send out my links because y'all will be messaging me saying, Sandy, where's the links? Hold on. Let me grab YouTube. There we go. We got the premiere coming on a little bit later on this morning. So make sure you don't miss that. So we're going to be talking about fake nurses, rogue prison officers, and more. The Cayman Islands, honey chill, for such a small little place. We sure do have a lot of drama. And more people asking George to return their money. So I'm not sure if he's listening this morning, but please. We got 3 expose stories for you today. So don't miss those. And then, of course, the premiere. People enjoy him tuning in. He's always a hot commodity. All right. So I told you guys a couple days ago, I've been mulling this idea over in my head about doing something a little bit more active in the mornings while I'm standing here. Where did I put my phone now? Oh, there it is. So we're going to do a trial run today with this idea. Going to just get it done. And so the idea for those of you who are listening on radio and wondering, well, what's going on in the studio? I can't say anything. Is you all need to get that plan by Flow, by the way. They have some unlimited family plan where you can literally use as much data as you want. I think they give you so much of LTE and then it drops down to like 3G or whatever, but it's still internet. And you can stream the show, you can watch the video and that sort of thing. So I got some people messaging me already. So yeah, we're gonna take the cold hard truth up a notch this morning. You know, we're not all talk around here. We believe in some action. And I've been talking about my 50 by 50 plan, whoo, honey child, for a minute now. And we're going to be kicking it in like third gear. We're not quite up to fifth gear yet, but this is kind of third gear. So we're going to get it. All right. So Miss Vernita's here. It's going to be interesting, me trying to do more than one thing at the same time. So you got to bear with me. First Lady, Olivia, Miss Evelyn, Miss Dorothy. Because the last thing I want to do is to fall off the bicycle while I'm doing all this. I'm going to turn on the second camera so y'all can have another view as well. Stephanie, Miss Wee Wee, Siobhan in the house, and good morning to everyone. We've got Malachi. Is that how you pronounce your name, honey child? Oh, yes. Good morning, sir. How are you? You used to be the dog handler, right? The dog trainer? Or are you part of police or CBC? Maybe CBC. Welcome, sir. Good morning. Diamond Princess says, good morning, lovely people. Have a safe weekend. Felicia's in the house. Siobhan is here. Alejandro, front row and center. K-Man Coco says, good morning, Sandy. See, I need to be looking like K-Man Coco. Look how K-Man Coco looking all sexy in her profile picture. You go, K-Man Coco. Get it, girl. Sandy, you and this song again. I know I was buying myself a little bit of time with our little morning jingle. Miss Iva's here. I feel like I've been eating too many mangoes, Miss Iva. Oh, Miss Iva, I got to tell you, I found a neighbor. Listen, good friends and good neighbors is better than all the money in the world. So I have a neighbor. I knew he had a lot of mango trees, but he kept bringing over mangoes that I was like, these are not the ones that I like Julie mangoes and East Indian and this and that. You know, there's so many variety of mangoes out there. It's crazy, a lot of them. And so when I tell people that I love local mangoes, I guess maybe there's more than one local mango. I don't know, because y'all keep bringing me all these other mangoes. I'm like, that's not the one. And they're like, well, which one do you want? Well, I tell you what, sometimes I'm even fooled by the look of the mango, because then you have hybrid mangoes and stuff as well. And what I do is I just cut it with a knife and I can smell the difference between the one that I love and the other ones. Every mango has a different and unique smell. So I cut a little piece and I sniff it and I'm like, this is not my mango. So I found a neighbor who has some. He brought some over the other day. He brought some other ones as well. And I was like cutting them, doing the sniff test. Nope, not that one. But he brought some that, oh, Miss Iva, they're giving your mango tree a run for its money, but you know, you still got the best on each year. So yes, good morning. Siobhan says it's pedal to the metal. Yes, that would make sense. Miss Dorothy's here. Stephen is in the house. Ria, is that how we pronounce your beautiful name? Ria Marie, good morning. Siobhan says fake nurses and rogue prison officers. Wow, this is going to be wild. Talking about a wild ride this morning. Yes, honey child. Miss Charlene, say TGIF. I love Fridays. I love Mondays. I love Tuesdays. I love Wednesdays. I love every day of the week because a day above ground is, well, a day you better be thankful for, honey child. Miss Barbara, Miss Faith says dress down Friday. Yes, I jumped in the shower and I was going to do the usual. And I said, no, Sandy, you were just talking about how you need to really start getting on this exercise bandwagon again, honey. So why not today? No day like today, like the present day. So I'm going to do it. Yasmin, good morning. Sonia's here. Marshall, Miss Bonnie, Lavana. Charlene says, unfortunately, we have too many frauds in important positions of employment on this island. We're going to get to it. Good morning, Life in the Tropics. How are you? Curry mangoes are your favorite curry mangoes? No, honey child. Curry mangoes. I'm trying to envision that. I love curry, but curry mangoes? I don't think so. Man, that doesn't quite sit right with me. Although, you know, we all like a little mango and sauce. I mean, so maybe curry mango is not far-fetched. You know, sometimes we just need to try something different. I got to tell you, where's Scott this morning? Scott from Waffle Monkeys, when he first told me about this curry chicken in a waffle cone, I was like, what? Curry chicken in a waffle cone? That sounds crazy. And lo and behold, it is so delicious. It's not even funny. Yeah, it's like the whole sweet and savory and everything all in one. Delicious. So I'm going to try, mic check. I think, is this mic hot? This one might not even be on. I'm trying to see if I can attach another microphone here. But you know, I think I might not have this one live, honey chill. All right, I got to do some little technical stuff here. This is where the brain now is going to be working in overtime. I'll have to see if maybe you guys can just hear me on that mic for now. And then I'll just jump on the bike. And this one I might have to make some changes to. I think I might have to reassign one of these buttons on the board for like a mic 2. So I've got a virtual mic 2 over here. How do I make that? Testing, 1, 2. I'm going to need some technical help, I believe, with this one. All right. I'm not going to mess with it because I don't want to mess up the show. But I do want to get a lapel mic going because you see I'm going to be sitting a ways back on this bike. And so I don't know how great this is going to be, but we're going to try it today. I'll message my technical guy and see if he can help me get another, because I made some very specific changes to this board, and I never have anyone sitting in front of me on this board. So I only have one actual mic and I've assigned all the other slots. Anyway, y'all are like, what the hell is Sandy talking about? I don't know. But what I do know is we're going to try it. So we got water, we got tea, and we got a little bit of Friday energy. That rhymes. Hello, Miss Sylvia. How you doing, honey chow? All right. So the idea is I got my gym. Hold on. Camera number 2. Let's bring it in. So this is me and all my belly fat. All this. What do we call this now? Visceral fat. This is the kind that's like super dangerous because it's like. And listen, you can be skinny as a stick and still have visceral fat because you don't actually see visceral fat. It's on the inside, but I know I have it. So I'm willing to admit to the visceral fat, and this is what we're trying to get down. Right? Everything has to slim on down, honey chow. So listen, we got our bicycle. Let's make sure that the bicycle clips. We can just jump on here. Oh, Lord. Woo. I tell you what, not so young anymore. I think that let me see if I got enough space in the saddle here. All right. Can y'all hear me okay? Or do I need to move the mic? Let me move it just a little bit closer. And then you guys let me know if you have an issue hearing me. So I've not been on this bike. Here's the cold hard truth. Purchased all this equipment, got a home gym out of this world, got a bike, elliptical machine, ab machine, treadmill. What else do I have in there? A weight set, and not using a single thing. This should be a sin to have all this equipment and still find a reason to be lazy. So my goal is lazy no more. All right, so we're gonna get on it, literally. Oh, curry mango. Thanks, Natasha, for the correction. I was like, curry mango. But Life in the Tropics says curry mango is a thing. I don't like, listen, I don't like, all right, let me clarify this. I don't really eat ripe mangoes. So I think that there's room for, because not every mango you can eat turn, right? So I don't really like ripe mangoes per se. I don't even typically like mango desserts and stuff. I love turn mango, and the only turn mango that I really, really want is a local Caymanian one. All the others, like sometimes I'm forced if it's out of season to eat some other variety that's turned. but that's not really my preference. So I don't like Carrie. I don't like Julie. I don't like Sandra mango and this mango and nah. Peppermint mangoes is the best local mango. What is a peppermint mango? There's too many mangoes for me. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. We're going to get to that. Eliano, Miss Lucille, good morning. Got to do something, but still here listening, says Siobhan. All right. Lavon is here. Work anniversary is tomorrow. Hey, happy anniversary. 21 years. Still loving KYKX. I know Cameron's like, oh, you tired already? Child, I'm tired. Just trying to. All right, let's get it. Let's just start pedaling. Slow and easy. Can y'all hear me okay? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. I know Irvin's just ride the bike already. Stop talking. I know East Indian are the best. Taste and mango, says Ryan. Join me for some beginners yoga. Oh, where are you doing yoga? All right. Alejandro says, wait. Yes, Sandy, pedal 1 foot per second. Let's go. The green mango you cook, not the ripe ones. Huh. The right ones is the ones you catch your neighbor stealing. All right, so we're pedaling. Somebody can keep a track. I should have turned on my watch here. Lord, this is requiring too much effort. All right, somebody keep a track for me and the time, please. So 7:49. All right, let's just pedal. Now, we're not expecting any miracles on the first day. We're going to just pedal and see how we get on. Listen, 5 minutes of pedaling is more than I was doing before. So 1 sweet minute at a time. And those of you WhatsApping me, I'm not going to get those messages right now. I'll check those after. All right. I almost feel like I need a little stand here for the phone. Oh, yes, honey child. Pedal to the metal. Let's do it. All right. So listen, last night I went to, I already can feel a little cardio kicking in. It's like, oh, Lord, I feel hot already. Come on, we can do at least 5 minutes. Oh, geez, on peace. All right. So I went to the University College of the Cayman Islands. They had a TVET symposium. I wish more people attended, to be honest. But here we are. Oh, Lord, this timer. Hold on. Okay. The timer is reminding me, the premiere is coming on. All right. He's here in 10 minutes. So let's see if we can go till 8 o'clock. Ooh, I really feel like I need to, hold on. Adjust the air conditioning. Okay. Lord Jesus, we can do it. 1 day at a time, 1 minute at a time. We got this. We didn't used to be this out of shape. Woo, no, sir. It should be a sin to be so out of shape. Trust me. I'm sure it is. Somewhere in the Bible, it must say, thou shalt not let your body go to waste. Start moving it, honey child. Oh, I need to adjust this pedal. Hold on. There we go. I need to tighten these pedals. Okay. Whew. All right. Anyway, I went to the symposium. Should have been better attended, but Caymanians love to complain about everything under the sun. And then when it comes time to do your part and to actually show up, you don't show up. And then y'all want me to go to bat for you. Oh, Sandy, we can't find no jobs, no employment. Nobody wants to hire us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? Oh, Lord have mercy. So anyway, y'all need to do better is the bottom line. TVET is technology, vocation. What does the rest of it stand for? Yes, sir. This is where it's at this morning. Anywho, oh, Lord, no. Listen, we have to take a second. Woo, hold on now. Oh, Lord. Working up a sweat already after a couple minutes. Now that is something. So the attendance was not what I expected or would have liked. I think more people should have been there. More young people in particular. I don't know how many of y'all knew about it, but one of the most amazing things is that UCCI has partnered with a college or university in Rhode Island. Whew, yes, that is offering full scholarships to Caymanians. So essentially how it works, and we have an interview we'll share with you guys probably on Monday. We have doctors in standby, right? Just in case. Oh my God. So no, sir. Y'all don't laugh at me, laugh with me. So yeah, we have, you see what happened? I'm trying to stay in one position to have optimal mic, but that's kind of challenging. Okay. So they have a program where they're offering, what's it called? Free education. Yes. Free education is a good thing, y'all. So the idea is there are certain TVET related courses the UCCI does not offer, and this university in Rhode Island does. So they're doing like I don't really want to say an exchange program, but they're going to send Caymanian students there on full scholarship. Everything, housing, tuition, the works. And listen, Rhode Island, hour from Boston, 2.5 hours from New York. It's still a great central location. A little bit cheaper to live there than in the big city like New York. And it's a, Wee's like, you're killing me. It's a wonderful opportunity for Caymanians to spread your wings. Remember when I was telling y'all about the importance of, going somewhere different for that university degree? Yes, honey child. So they can go to a different location, such as Rhode Island, no cost to them, and get an amazing education. Listen, take up the opportunity. When y'all hear the interview, you'll see what areas they're doing currently. And they plan on expanding the list as well. So, yes. Well, Corinne said, I'd love to join you, but down with the bad flu. Yeah, you guys could be in your little houses pedaling too. Whew. All right, let me take a little 30 seconds off. So listen, I think this is a great thing that the college is doing. They're even talking about doing an exchange with their professional staff as well. Like some students can go there and vice versa, not students, the instructors, and then some can come here. And I think this is great. Whew. Yes. All right, let me pick one of the breaking news topics this morning. This is a CMR exclusive. You're not going to hear this anywhere else in the news. We got 3 of them for you today. Let's start with the one that's a little less complicated. Sean Bodden, remember him? Supposed to be a Caymanian, but really he's an American. Listen to me. When people come to Cayman and they have a passport from somewhere else, and they have an option to run somewhere else, you always got to be careful of them people. Bunch of crooks. Some of them. I need to tighten these shoe things in a minute. So you guys remember Sean Bodden, right? He was the one who we had featured, I think last year, where his wife ran him off the road he cleaned down by, let's name that road, close to Eucalyptus Building, Automotive Art in that parking lot. And so what it is apparently they've had domestic issues. The streets claim that he, is abusive towards her. And that day she saw him with the mistress in the car and had given him, I think it was like 10 grand or something. Oh, Denny's calling me. Denny. All right. Hello. Hi, Danny.
Buenos dias.
How are you?
Not bad. The noise gate on that mic is too aggressive for how you have it, and it's chopping off the first parts of your words. It doesn't really sound good at all. So
the noise gate.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's
do you think I just bring it down, it'll help?
Well, no, it's noise gate is an effect that is intended to silence the mic once the volume, the input, falls below a certain.
Hold on now. I'm gonna join you with somebody else. Yes, so it's 55 dB right now. Should I increase that or decrease that? What do you think? Processing, echo, reverb. All right, I think I need to go into the settings and have a look. Uh-oh. Denny, can you hear me? Oh, there you go, Denny. Hi.
Yeah. So it's really difficult listening to your mic when you're on the bike. Really difficult.
Okay, I think I need a lapel mic as well.
The sound is so distracting that you don't focus on what you're saying.
Oh gosh. Okay. Thank you.
So, I think you might have to make a choice today.
Make a choice. There's always some excuse to not exercise. All right, caller. Oops. Did I just hang up on the other caller? Oh my gosh. Hold on. We're trying a thing this morning, but yes, we might have to make some adjustments. I think what I'll have to do is do like a trial run. All right. Well, at least we got in like 5 minutes. When the premier's here and he's talking, then what I can do is I can pedal while he talks. All right. Let's see what's going on now. Let me put my specs back on. And leave that bicycle until tomorrow. Get on with the stories. Here. Morning, caller.
Morning, Sandra. I was just trying to call in to say the same thing Danny say.
Okay.
All your words are again.
Yes. So that's
doesn't
just not
even
working.
sound like you.
I need to work on it then.
Yes, please do, because we're listening on you for your show.
All right.
Good morning and good luck with that.
All right, honey. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna make some in-studio adjustments. I think the way to go is to do a second lapel mic. Because this mic, I think, might be trying to kind of overcompensate anyway. All right, we missed the call. Let's call this caller back. When the premier comes on, he starts talking. I'll jump in between him talking when I don't have to talk. I think it'll be fine. Yasmin says I sound perfect to her. So I wonder if it's just the radio. Bad echoing on the radio, says Amanda. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Mariah says it sounds robotic. But wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. I'm actually not doing anything now. So if it's still sounding that way, that might have nothing to do with the bike. Hold on. Let me check and check. Could it be a coincidence? The radio reception. Hold on. Let me have Chuck check it, because I was just listening to that person and that sounded really horrible, but that's not me doing anything. Maybe another issue. All right, let's see if we can get Chuck to check the radio quality. So it's gone again. Yeah, that's actually nothing to do with the cycling then. Someone says the audio funny. It's not because you're out of breath. Sounds like you're on helium. All right, let me call Chuck. This is a different issue. I think we've had this issue kind of before. Well, that's good because then maybe we can keep cycling. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, I'm getting some reports of poor quality this morning on the radio.
Give me 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Of course I sound out of breath. This person's like, my friend, you sound very out of breath. Listen, I'm not the only one who is completely out of shape. I think the only difference is I'm willing to admit it. Some of y'all be living in denial with your fat little selves. Let's wait for Chuck to fix it, and then I'm going to tell you all about Sean Bodden. Police officer, by the way. Are you sure that your bike handle position right? Just asking. Well, the question would be, why are you asking? So these handles are meant for you to lean in if you need to. Charlene says, great, so am I. With, in addition, facts. You can't exercise and talk at the same time. Gives you bad breathing and makes you exhausted much further, says Charles. I think it can be done, Charles. I think it's just because I'm so out of shape. I'm making it seem really, really hard when it's probably, okay, should be better now. I'm told it's fixed. Miss Dorothy from Florida. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get back in the saddle because, you know, life lessons. You fall off once, you get up 50 times. So y'all tell me now if I think it didn't have anything to do with me exercising, and it might have just been a coincidence. So let me know how it is, and we're going to just pedal nice and easy. But we're going to keep going. So Sean Bodden, police officer, he used to be part of the Marine unit at one point. And I don't know, the guy is still here. What's still here? The guy is a little bit, when you talk to people on the street, he's always had a reputation of living on the edge. You know? Like he's just always, like people couldn't quite put their finger on it. They were like, this guy's just not honest. I don't know. Potential insurance fraud, this, that, the next thing, always something. But he just kept getting away with it. Well, here's the latest story, folks. His ticket might finally be up. So the streets are saying that there was some sort of a court order, restraining order against him. He kept breaching the order, which is a problem because eventually the police are going to go for you. Even if you're one of them, they're going to go for you, right? Anywho, the reports are this. He has left the jurisdiction as of last weekend. And in fact, there was ammunition found in a hole in his house. So the police, I guess that's CID. I don't know exactly what division would be investigating this, but probably CID. They were at his house this week, digging out this hole and finding bullets, ammo. The only reason why you'd hide ammunition or weapons in a hole in your house, like in the wall, is if it's not legal. You know, I don't think he's an officer that would have been part of the firearms response unit, but I guess officers can apply for a gun license like everybody else. But there are rules. You know, you got to keep stuff in a safe. You got to handle your weapon and ammunition in a particular manner. You can't just be hiding it in the wall. So the question is, why would you have ammunition hidden in the wall? Anywho, the streets are saying, you're hearing it here first, that he has now left the jurisdiction. He is packed up and gone. Supposedly resigning from the RCIPS. The RCIPS won't confirm any of this because on the one hand, they say, oh, well, you know, we can't tell you if he still works for us because that's employment and that's confidential. Well, I guess if he resigned, I don't know if you've accepted his resignation, but the point is this. Hear how good this one gets. He's resigned in hopes of the fact that he is still going to be entitled to his double dipping pension because he's one of those who would have been like grandfathered in from the old pension system. Can you imagine? That's just crazy. So I don't know what part in the USA he gone, but I hope he recognizes that the RCIPS, through our international connections, has the ability to extradite you back if they need to do so. So if an offense has been committed with ammunition in the wall, they can bring you, you can hide anywhere you want in the United States of America. They will eventually find you and bring you back. We'll see. Johan is such an idiot. Johan says, I hope Don Marlin is home just in case you fall off or pass out. Johan, you need to get on the bike, little chubby wubby. You need to start walking. You need some exercise too. Come and join me. All right. So Yasmin says, doing good, Sandy. Wish it was me exercising this morning. Marshall says, whenever I'm jogging by myself and not talking to anyone, it's much better because when is jogging and running and talking makes you more out of it. But it's actually, it can be good because it kind of gives you some resistance when you do a little bit of both. All right, listen, we got the premiere here. We'll talk about the other stories a bit later on. Good morning to Ken. Ken says, hi, Sandy, power from Costa Rica. Yay, buenos dias. All right, Premier Panton, good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sandra, and good morning to all of the wonderful people in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, yes.
And those who are overseas as well.
Yes, we got a huge overseas.
Everyone, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We got a huge overseas contingent that always listens in. As you can see, you're probably wondering what on earth am I doing this morning?
Pretty obvious what you're doing, Sandra. You're looking after yourself.
We never have a dull moment. So, I've been talking about my 50 by 50 plan, really just delaying it and doing a little bit intermittent fasting, Premier Panton. And I said, you know what, I'm just not getting the exercise at all. And so earlier this week, I mentioned how I've had this idea of I'm standing for 3 hours during the morning show. I had this idea of using some of that time, even if it's just 10, 15 minutes, to work in some exercise and stuff. So here we are. This is day one. We're going to try it.
Yeah. Well,
so good morning to you.
As you've probably heard me say before, I think a long time ago, we've concluded that jumping to conclusions is just not a legitimate form of exercise. So what you're doing right now is good for you, and it's motivating for a lot of people, I think. So that's a good idea, a good thing.
Yeah, so we appreciate you coming on the program. We know we have quite a few things that we're going to be discussing with you today. We don't know if we'll get through all of them because every time you're on the program, you're so popular. People always have questions for you. They've always got concerns. Of course, the phone lines are open, folks. 936-2626 is the telephone number. So during the segments where you're speaking and engaging a little bit longer, that's when I'll jump on the bike for maybe a minute or so. And then I'll jump back off. So that's the plan, folks. All right. So Premier Panton has been busy since the last time we saw you for sure. We know that you went to the UK and you did a number of other things. Oh, we got Denny calling back. Hold on one second. Good morning, Denny.
Before you get started with the premiere, you should have check the radio again.
Oh,
it sounds fine on Facebook, but on the radio it doesn't. It sounds like it's playing 1 point something times the speed.
Oh, okay. So somebody says it's gone again.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to fix that first.
All right. Thank you, Denny. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Let me see here now. Let me give Chuck a call. Yeah, we're getting quite a few messages we were thinking it might have been me trying to exercise, but turns out it's probably not related to me. Debbie says, looking good, Mr. Premier. Morning, you sound like a robot on the radio. It's back again, Chuck.
It's back again. This I do believe streetwise again with the internet line.
The internet line? Oh gosh.
Yeah, because I keep redoing it, looking for my line. Keep looking for a new IP address, and I get it. It goes good, and then it goes bad. So
oh my goodness.
Definitely something on the line.
On the internet.
So let me do it again.
Okay.
2 seconds. Here we go.
All right. Thank you.
Again now.
Okay. might have to get a new internet provider over there. Don't say anything. You're live on radio.
The good thing about me is I always believe somebody's watching.
I know. You always believe it's a hot mic.
You're right. I always believe it's a hot mic. And to the listeners, when it happens, I'm live on air too. So we're doubly live. I'm on Magic 91.5 and you're going out too. So we keep listening for all of our wonderful people. Thank you so much.
All right, honey. Thanks. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. All right. Chuck is the professional tech guy over there. Internet problems. Logic. Sort yourselves out. All right. Mr. Amelia says, good morning, honey child. Premier Panton and Cayman. Have a blessed and victorious day in the Lord. Thank you, Mr. Amelia. We've got Miss Dorothy saying good morning to the Premier as well. So Premier Panton, we were actually saying that it's been a minute since we've seen you. You've been extremely busy. In that time, you've actually traveled to the UK. So why not catch us up a little bit before we start to, really dig into some of the core issues here. Tell us what it is that you've been up to in the time since we've seen you last.
Well, Sandra, I can't remember exactly when the last time was, but in terms of the overseas trips, I, to be frank, spent probably more time out of the country than I normally would like to. It ended up being almost a 2-week trip. The first part of it was all of the events around the coronation of King Charles III. And there were, various receptions. There was a reception at Buckingham Palace. There was a foreign secretary's reception. So it was a range of events, in addition to all the different meetings that we organized separately as well. There was a Cayman Finance breakfast meeting with the local industry representatives for Cayman and those that use Cayman in London. So there was a range of events around Cayman interests, as well as what was related to the coronation in that first week. The coronation event itself was a very, very special event. Obviously, you felt the weight of the moment in the time in history. I think for me, having gone to Her Late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's funeral service in London in September last year in the same church, Westminster Abbey, I had this sort of mixed. I found myself having this sort of mixed feeling. We would not have been there for the coronation, but for her passing. And it was, it was very. The funeral service itself, I think I've described before, was very, very poignant, and it was. You felt the weight of the moment in history, and I was sitting there looking across at a crypt, which was the wife of one of the wives of Henry VIII. I think it was from 1536. So it was really interesting to be back in that environment again and seeing a different context, but the same setting, feeling the same weight of the significance of the moment in history. And I think, being there with all of the leaders of our fellow overseas territories, the Commonwealth countries, and many, many other world leaders, I think was obviously very, very poignant, very significant. and it was truly, hopefully a once in a lifetime experience in terms of the coronation. But it was truly an honor and a privilege to be there to represent our beautiful country of the Cayman Islands for that event and to be able to witness that. So that was effectively the sort of first week of the trip. The second week was again a number of meetings, and then we had the Joint Ministerial Council meeting, which is the meeting where it's an annual meeting where all of the representatives of the overseas territories, the premiers, some of their support staff, in some cases, ministers that were relevant to particular issues for each of the overseas territories. They were there. We meet with the various ministers and representatives of different departments of the United Kingdom government that are relevant to the needs of the specific overseas territories. And this is all, of course, prearranged by way of a meeting that typically occurs 6 months before the Joint Ministerial Council meeting, where you work out what the agenda is. Everybody shares issues that they'd like to have on the JMC agenda, and the people that they want to be able to talk to. And that the UK obviously have input as well on that agenda. And we end up with an agreed agenda that we're all working towards over this usually 2-day, sometimes 2.5-day process. In this case, it was slightly less than 2 days. So that is a significant element of what I did over that 2-week period. Now there were two main issues for Cayman. One, which obviously is relevant to a number of other overseas territories, is the question of the commitment that had been made back in 2019 to public sharing of beneficial ownership information, the beneficial ownership of companies. And at the moment, there is a requirement that the Cayman Islands and Bermuda and BVI in particular, that we, and I think the Crown dependencies in the UK as well, that's Jersey and Guernsey and Isle of Man, that we, by the end of 23, the end of this year, start providing public access to our beneficial ownership information that we collect on our companies and partnerships. And the issue has been that there's a recent European Court of Justice ruling which said that commitment and that type of approach in terms of sharing that much information, that much private information, was in breach of the privacy rights of individuals, and that has caused an issue where all of the territories that have an interest in this area, as well as the UK, now have to work out from a legal perspective what that means, because we certainly don't want to be in a position where, having committed to doing this, that we end up breaching the privacy rights of individuals. And at the end of the day, it's also a question about the extent to which that then compromises our competitive advantage or becomes a competitive disadvantage for us in Cayman. So there's a lot of discussion around that, and where we came out with that was we agreed that we would put together a committee, which was a subcommittee of an organization called the United Kingdom Overseas Territories Association. So there was a subcommittee dealing with financial services. We get the UK's lawyers together. We get all of the various council representing the overseas territories together. We've discussed this issue and work out how we can jointly address this in the context of the difficulties that have been created by this ruling in the UK. Sorry, in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So that took up quite a bit of time in terms of discussion, both prior to the meeting and during the JMC, and that's the outcome we're at, and we're working in good faith towards that to see how we can rationalize this. But the reality is that it is a difficulty, and it is one which I think the UK have to reflect on and face, that this does put the overseas territories that had been asked in the past to commit to this on the basis that this was some global standard, or going to be a global standard. But it puts us in a difficult situation, because clearly it is not going to be a global standard, because the EU senior courts have now said this represents a breach of basic privacy rights that are protected. Another issue that has been relevant to us, and that I did an intervention on, was around our students that are going to university in the UK who do not yet have British passports. And what has been happening is when they're only utilizing their Cayman Islands passport, they have to go through a process of getting a visa to attend school in the UK. Now, that sounds strange, and one has to wonder why that is a requirement. But if the visa process was done efficiently, then we would not have had a significant issue with it. The difficulty has been that it is taking many weeks, and sometimes as much as several months to get these things processed. And we've had students who have had to delay attending school, some of them who have had to wait, and sort of wait for an entire academic year.
Wow.
To go by. And I tell you, during the meeting, I had borrowed a new Cayman Islands passport from a colleague. And remember, you all will remember that the requirement or the ability for us to issue passports in Cayman. Remember, we issued our own passports here for a long time, and then they changed the requirement because they said they had security concerns. This is the UK. So they had security concerns, and they started centralizing the issuance of Cayman Islands passports and other overseas territories in the UK. And we've had difficulties around that with that taking a long time as well. That created a huge logistical issue for them and inconvenience for us. But the crazy thing is, I hold up this passport in the meeting and I say, listen, this is a Cayman Islands passport, but it is issued by the United Kingdom. And you're asking us, and the holder of this passport, if it's a Caymanian, and we can demonstrate they're Caymanian, you're asking us to get visas to come and pay money to attend school in the UK on the basis of a passport that you have issued for us.
Wow.
So, the major question has to be, should we require a visa? I would say no. If I'm entitled to get a British passport, and just because I don't have it, that means I have to get this visa. Well, can we not find a way to avoid having to do the visa at all, since the visa is taking a long time to obtain? And there may be other alternatives. So, for example, the governor's office may be able to, for example, deal with either a waiver of the visa or some other approach which would avoid this difficulty that we have at the moment. So these are the types of issues that we've had discussions with around GMC particularly for Cayman. There are many of our fellow overseas territories that have lots of other issues that they need assistance with. Many of them, as you may know, have budgets that are assisted by the UK. They have contributions, no fault of their own. The UK overseas territories family is very disparate. I mean, it ranges from the Pacific to smaller islands in the South Atlantic, Mid Atlantic, as well as the Caribbean. So we all are at different levels of need. Cayman is one of those that we're extremely fortunate. We don't need assistance. We've never really needed assistance from the UK. We've always successfully rowed our own boat, and we're always, we've been very proud of that, and that is something that we must maintain. But there are issues that we support our fellow overseas territories on in terms of their needs, and the two issues I mentioned in particular are the ones that are particularly relevant to us at this point in time, and I've asked for clarification, particularly on the visa point. We had the minister from the Home Office there. I think he actually had responsibility for the visas, his direct responsibility for the visas, and his indication was that, well, yes, we're processing these efficiently, and we commit to you that we will get that done. And my view was, well, this is not satisfactory, because I'm here telling you, despite your representations, I'm here telling you that our students are having these difficulties. They're not getting the visas in time, and it's impacting their ability to attend the schools of their choice when they need to start school. So these are real impacts on our young people, and this is I am hoping, and I've made it very clear to them that just a simple representation and an assurance that it's being dealt with efficiently is absolutely insufficient. We need another solution or resolution to this issue to avoid this problem for our own students.
Wow. While we're on this topic, I know just a few days ago, I had someone asking the question about why can't we, from the perspective of getting visas to travel to the US, including student visas, why can't we have, I guess, the equivalent of a facility here, whether it's to the US consulate's office or, some sort of priority given to Caymanians? What do you say to the individuals who, because we get this question all the time, who keep asking that question? Why is it not possible?
For the U.S. Embassy?
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're not a sovereign state, and typically, an embassy, for a U.S. embassy, for example, would typically be a consideration where you are a sovereign state. We are British Overseas Territory. The UK represents Cayman on many of these issues in terms of geopolitical international relations, and we have a U.S. embassy in Jamaica. We have a U.S. embassy in the Bahamas, and those are the two locations that we typically have to interact with to get documentation or visas from the U.S. I know we've had discussions in the past about whether they would be willing to have some sort of consulate office here, which would have some authority. They have indicated that they're not willing to have that kind of authority being handled through the consulate office here. It is the consulate office here is more of a just a representative agency to interact with and pass on information to the official embassies.
Mm-hmm.
So we're never going to, I think, be in a position where we have a U.S. embassy set up in Cayman, unless Cayman at some point in the future, for example, became an independent state.
Mm-hmm. Well, Aliano says, I have my British passport and not a Caymanian passport that expired and never saw the need to use it. So I think most people are finding that having both isn't necessarily going to help them. This other person on WhatsApp comments, my son has a UK and a Cayman passport. He just completed university in the UK on his UK passport. We paid the UK price for his tuition due to that. Massive savings for us. So that's another benefit.
No, absolutely. And that's one of the significant benefits. We get effectively what are home rates in the UK if you are going in, if you have a British passport, you're going in, or you have this visa. But the difficulty that we've had is not everybody has applied for and obtained a British passport. And the process to do that, like when you decide, well, I want to go to school, I want to go to university in the UK, and you look at your options, the process to obtain a British passport takes a long time as well, and in most cases longer than applying for a visa. But the process to certainly apply for the visa, where you're talking about the holder of a passport that has been issued by a United Kingdom passport agency itself, it should never be, 10, 12, 15 weeks waiting to get this visa in order to go to and attend a university in the UK. It's never take that amount of time. So, because of the extreme variation sometimes in time, it is creating situations which are significant levels of inconvenience for our students and our young people.
Right.
So I expect them. I'm going to write again and ask for a proper consideration of how we can resolve this issue. One of the really good things, Sandra, that has developed in the past couple of months is that the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has written to all of the ministries across Whitehall in the UK, across the parliamentary estate, the various ministerial offices. And he has said, I want you to prioritize and have someone within each ministry responsible for the overseas territories, responsive to their requests. We normally deal with the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office in the UK, and they then historically would reach out and deal with specific ministries on our behalf and pass on requests and seek, the encouragement of assistance to assist us with any issues that we have. But while you would think that they would have leverage to be able to, to get things done on our behalf, in practice it hasn't really worked out that way. In practice, we end up when the FCDO reaches out to the various ministries, we end up becoming perhaps less of a priority for those particular ministries, even though it's the FCDO intervening on our behalf. The Prime Minister's recent action by writing across all the ministries and saying, listen, prioritize the overseas territories, prioritize responses to their needs. When you get requests from the FCDO, make sure you respond in a very reasonable period of time so that they can get the assistance they need. And he has asked for a particular person to be responsible in each of those ministries to address those types of requests. So I think that has the potential to make a significant difference in terms of the ability for us to interact through the FCDO and have issues addressed. As I said, we're very, very fortunate. there's not a lot of things that Cayman needs assistance from the UK on. We do need, for example, assistance on technical areas at times. But for some of our fellow overseas territories, it really is critically important that they get the responses and the kinds of assistance that they need, because a lot of them don't have anywhere near the kind of resources that some of us are blessed to have, and they need that assistance, and it's critical. And in some cases, it's it may be a life and death situation for some of their own residents and constituents.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important. It's a really welcomed approach, a new approach to handling issues in terms of interactions with the overseas territories across the United Kingdom government.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and I will be honest and tell you that I have not felt this level of commitment, seen this level or demonstrated of commitment to the overseas territories in a very long time. There's a lot of talk about recognizing the overseas territories as being a part of the British overseas or the British global family. There is a recognition that 94% of the United Kingdom's biodiversity actually exists in the overseas territories.
Mm-hmm.
So we, in the context of climate change issues, in the context of carbon credits, and recognizing the type of ecosystem assets that the United Kingdom has, that contributes to the natural ecosystem services and helps to absorb carbon that is being put into the atmosphere. There is a clear recognition that the UK overseas territories present a very, very significant value to the United Kingdom and to the world, really, in terms of the extensive value of our natural assets and the ecosystem services that they provide in helping to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So it seems to me that there really is a new day. And what is also, I think, very encouraging is that there is a potential based on various polling that there may be a change in government in the UK. There may be it's probably unlikely to be an entirely Labour-led government, but it may well be a Labour coalition government. But the Labour Party and the significant members of their shadow cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
They also have, we've been engaged in various discussions with them. I've had the opportunity to have various discussions with the leader of the opposition, leader of the Labour Party, Mr. Keir Starmer, and a number of his colleagues that represent the shadow cabinet. And they're all very, very positive towards Cayman as well. Keir Starmer has had a number of interactions with Cayman. He's visited Cayman a number of times, so they know Cayman quite well, and they value our approach to sustainability. The Labour Party itself has a very strong, very pro environment and pro sustainability perspective. So I think that also puts us in a good position. If there was a change in the government in the UK in the next 12 to 18 months, I think we're in a good position to build equally strong relationships with a new government. So I perceive this as, at the moment, as probably less of a threat. There's always a question of, if there's a change in government, is there going to be a change in policy and a change in your interest? I think right now, from a Cayman perspective, both the current government as well as a potential new Labour-led government both recognize the value of Cayman and other overseas territories like us, and I think they would be very supportive.
All right, we've got. We have
you're being very motivating there, watching you pedal away.
I'm trying.
I almost wish I had my own bike here now. I could do that.
Few questions coming in. Aliano is asking, what does it mean to be a sovereign state? So if you can kind of explain that to people.
Well, that's just a question of whether you're an independent state, whether you're an independent country. And, for many of the former British colonies or territories that became independent, let's take Jamaica, for example. Well, let's take Jamaica and Barbados as examples. Most of them retained the British monarch as the notional head of state. And what we have seen is these countries have been moving away and be moving towards removing the monarch as the head of state and becoming republics, for example. Barbados did that, I think about nearly 2 years ago now. And they have their own president, Dame Sandra Mason. She is now the official head of state for Barbados. But of course, they also maintain the office of prime minister. And of course, Mia Mottley is the prime minister. So she is effectively the head of the executive, but you have an official head of state, which has less executive duties, and the same approach, I think, is being considered by Jamaica currently. I think there's they've made the decision that they will move down this path. I don't know what their timeline is around it, but they're looking to remove the British monarch as the official head of state, and they're going to, I think they're going to go to a republic as well and have a similar situation where you have a president as the official head of state, and you maintain the office of prime minister. That is just how several of these territories, former British territories, have gone. They've become independent of the UK, and then they're giving up the British monarch, as a formal head of state. Now, that last part of it has nothing to do with whether you're a sovereign state or not. When you're independent, you become a sovereign state.
Mm-hmm.
But these are just trajectories that, some of our territories, some of our former British territories have been taking. The difference that it makes for them is really one of, I think it focuses more on national pride. It means that they are well and truly looking internally and ensuring that they are developing as a fully independent country, and they're sort of cutting the old ties that may have existed, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Yeah, it is funny.
King is
talking about serious issues, and Sandra is pumping away, but that's good. It was just a day.
I'm trying to think, King.
It's the age of multitasking. You go for it, Sandra. You go right ahead.
Oh my goodness. So we've had a few comments, from people saying, Miss Charlene, it's difficult to get her passport, her UK passport. Or I don't know if it's a new application. It sounds like it might be a new application, but is there any sort of person, I know there's private individuals, but any sort of government agency, if someone is having an issue getting passports renewed, whether it's the Cayman passport or the UK passport, that they can go to for assistance?
There is the possibility of sort of making inquiries locally, but to be honest, you can get guidance from the passport office, but the process is dealt with entirely in the UK. So it is really about interacting with them. They have they have their usual sort of complaints process and a process through which you can follow up. But I think it has gotten easier. But there was a point in time where people were waiting 5 months to get passports issued, whether they were British passports or whether they were Cayman Islands passports. So the view is when they first started doing this that they were not entirely prepared for the volume. I think they've been working out a lot of the logistical issues, and they're getting better at it. But it is at times still very, very inconvenient to us. It's still taking a lot of time on occasions. And this issue with visas, to me, it's you have to say, well, why would we have this requirement? Why should there be a requirement for a visa? And if there is a requirement in the law and they haven't gotten around to changing the law or don't want to change the law for whatever reason, then let's find an alternative way of addressing this to remove some of the inconvenience for our students, because we're not going to get free education there. Our students are paying to attend these universities.
All right, we have a caller on the line. Good morning, Denny. Welcome to the program.
Morning. Why can't we do what is necessary and bring the production of Cayman passports back to the Cayman Islands?
Well, morning. Thanks for the question. This has been an issue that was dealt with. I don't know. I think it was about 5 years ago now. At least 5 years ago, 6 years ago, probably. The UK made the decision from what they said was a security perspective. They expressed the view that there were concerns that they had. I don't recall exactly whether it was specific incidents or whether it was intelligence led in terms of the potential for abuse. I think there may have been a combination of those things, but it was a question of security for the UK, and they insisted against our views at the time, against the views represented by the Cayman government, by the governments of many of those, probably all of those territories at the time, perhaps, that that they were going to go ahead and do this. So it wasn't something that we sat quietly and accepted. We protested. We expressed concerns. And I think, to be fair, one of the things we were concerned about was an issue around delays. When you're in control of your own process there, it's a lot easier for us to be responsive to the needs and the requests of our own people directly. When you have to rely on the UK and it's part of this much larger process, it becomes very difficult for us because locally we can't manage that. We can't have but very little input in it. So that's been the problem. We have not been able to do this. They took the position from a national security perspective that they wanted to control the issue of passports, and we've had some issues, clearly as a result of that. And we have been raising those issues and asking them to improve the delivery of service. They've presented explanations to us in the past, and more recently as well, as to how they're trying to improve this. But we can't control it.
Well, actually, it is within our control, because the reason why we're having these symptoms is because we're a colony. And I listen to the UK and their utterances, and in a lot of instances they're very duplicitous in the things that they say. For example, the previous governor came on to CMR and talked about how the Cayman Islands government is devolved, and that we are running the show, and that's clearly not the case, right? We should be able to look at whatever security concerns need to be put in place. What they're telling us is that we're not responsible enough to be able to handle that aspect of our own affairs, while at the same time telling us we're devolved. Those two things don't go together. Okay, that's nonsense. And the particular concern that we have to address here is just simply a technological one, which is, do you have hardware and software that has been audited for security purposes to be able to interact with the system in the UK? And things should be good. It's no different of having, like, for example, the question about an embassy. When the US has an embassy in another country, they have to rely on hardware and software that are audited for security purposes in order to interact with the homeland. That this is not like
Sandra, I don't know. Sorry, caller, can just for a sec. Your volume is going up and down, and there are times that I can't hear what you're saying. I don't know whether that's just me or whether, Sandra, you're having the same issue.
No, I can hear Denny fine. So, but Denny, let me clarify what it is that you're saying, right? So first of all, as far as I know, and I can certainly be corrected, U.S. embassies are run by the United States. So it's not somebody else running a U.S. embassy, right? So that equipment is their own equipment, and they hire people to work in the U.S. embassy. The solution that you're saying for Cayman, essentially what I'm hearing you saying is the solution we have is to become independent. But I think if you poll the majority of people,
no.
That's not what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in the same way that the embassy, or a U.S. embassy, can be off of the continental U.S. and still interact securely with the continental U.S., is just a matter of technology that's been audited for the purposes of security. And what I'm saying to you is that solution is the same type of solution that Cayman would need to implement in order to do the same thing here.
But you understand that isn't.
Wait. You're trying to make it seem as if somehow Cayman is different interacting with the UK, as if when compared to the US. And yes, the US, we're not talking about a colony, but what we are talking about when we're talking about the Cayman Islands, if you think about the constitutional context of this discussion, you will know that at the UN level, the UK has administrative responsibility for the Cayman Islands. And in particular, the governor has responsibility not only for external affairs, but for internal security. And so this is not as foreign as you might think it is.
No, but I think the point here, Denny, is that as a non-sovereign nation, we're British overseas territory, if the UK says no, they're not going to allow any, and it's not just us, to be clear, right? The concern might have been less about us and more about other territories, but I doubt they would have singled out an individual territory to say, oh, well, we're going to just apply it in one place. They took that entire feature or responsibility back in-house. So I think really it's a matter for the UK to say, if they're willing to compromise. Not to say that our government can't put a position to them, or the overseas territories can't put a position to them, but ultimately we don't have any control over whether they say yes or no. We can make a great argument and they can still say no.
Yeah, I mean, there are many issues that are devolved to Cayman. In fact, the majority of issues are devolved to Cayman and our local executive and parliament. But when it comes to UK passports and Cayman Islands passports that are issued as a result of the interplay of the British Nationality Act, they have control over that, and they have decided that because of these security issues, they would centralize it in the UK, so they have much more control over how these passports are being issued. So there's clearly not a complete devolution, because we're a British overseas territory. There are aspects.
It's not really devolution either. It's delegation, because they can take it back
whatever you want to call it.
All right, Denny, leave us there.
All right.
Thank you very much. 936-2626 is indeed the telephone number if you have a question or comment for the Premier. Premier Panton, we did have a couple things on the agenda today that we kind of want to touch upon, because outside of your trip to the UK, you've obviously been busy doing a number of other things that are really, really concerning topics, I should say, to the general population. Number one at the top of the list is cost of living. So we want to talk a little bit about what the PAC government has been doing to, as much as possible to, sort of offset some of the increasing in interest rates and, stagflation and all this other stuff that has been going on around the world in terms of the world economy, having a very, very much of a trickle-down effect here to, all the residents of the Cayman Islands. So can we talk about two of the programs that have been designed to help people lower their energy costs, which is one way in which our cost of living is significantly impacted?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we don't, as you know, have a lot of control over the inflationary impact on Cayman, particularly when it comes to our energy costs. One of the things we want to try to do is to move to renewable energy as quickly as possible. But we have had some issues with getting the policies right around that, interacting with our regulator. But that's a separate issue that we'll have to deal with. Clearly, some of the biggest impacts for people are their monthly CUC bills. And so some of the things we've been trying to focus on, as you know, you will recall last year, in the last 6 months, effectively of 2022, government supported up to 22,000 households with their energy costs. We are now trying to focus on assisting people to effectively lower their consumption, lower and improve the efficiency in their homes, so that they can remain comfortable without having to, for example, turn their AC off, but consume less energy. So we have several programs that are being. One is definitely rolled out, which is the home energy audit, which is a sort of a do-it-yourself energy audit. People sometimes are not aware of how much energy they're consuming, and what the impacts are to having leaky windows, to having homes that are not, or ceilings that are not well insulated, and to having AC systems, for example, that are not serviced properly or are a lot older and much less efficient. You can save hundreds of dollars in your home energy costs by improving the efficiency significantly. So we have a program where we will assist people with doing their own audits, their own reviews, and identifying where they can find efficiencies. The CUC, I think, has been doing and recommending this sort of thing as well. We have another program which we're going to launch imminently, which will be, I don't want to get into a lot of the details just yet, but what we're looking to do is we're looking to identify eligible Caymanian families who can qualify, who can benefit significantly from this assistance. And we will basically do a professional audit on their home to assess the efficiency, assess their AC systems, assess what changes may be needed that would assist them. And we will then assist them to upgrade those systems, to do things like to do foam insulation in the ceilings, for example, to work out whether their windows are sealed and are as efficient as they can be, door ceilings, this kind of thing, to stop air from, cool air from leaking out, and importantly, any hot air from coming in. So we will be providing financial assistance effectively to retrofit some of these homes for eligible Caymanian families that I think will make a significant difference. I mean, if there are people, for example, in my constituency that have utility bills which are $600, $700, $800 a month, and if they can cut those in half, that is a very significant benefit to those families. They can employ the savings by saving it, or they can use it for their children's education or whatever else. But it will definitely improve the financial position for many of our Caymanian families that can benefit most from this sort of thing, this sort of program. So I'm looking forward. I am the third-party service provider that we're working with is just getting themselves organized to make sure that they can roll it out and manage it properly. So that is the reason we haven't actually rolled it out just yet, but we're ready to go on our side. It will be run through my ministry, the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. And this is going to be, I think, a benefit to qualified or eligible Caymanian families. And depending on how how successful this is, we're going to be monitoring it to see how much it reduces the costs for these Caymanian families. And depending on how successful it is, we're going to try to find additional resources to perhaps expand the program. And the other aspect of it is it will really demonstrate to people who wonder whether there is, a benefit to doing this. What kind of benefit would you get if you invest this kind of money in these sort of activities? This will be a clear demonstration of the potential benefits for this sort of thing. So I'm very anxious to get this program going, because I believe strongly that it will help many of our eligible Caymanian families that could most benefit from having this done in relation to their homes. So that is, I'm anticipating that in the next, certainly no more than 2 weeks, we'll be able to roll that out in full detail. I'm also going to be, Sandra, that we have been doing this Financial Peace University program in the Savannah constituency and the Newlands constituency. Primarily, although we've had members from other constituencies who have participated. These are very popular programs, and they are very, very helpful in helping people to manage their expenditures, manage their budgets, and teaching them how to incrementally and step by step go about improving their financial situation, whether that is just managing their bills, or whether that is, setting targets and actively seeking to eliminate their debt. And of course, in today's environment, that's even more important than ever. given the high rate of interest or high interest rates that exist. And that's another thing I'll come on to. That's even more important. And so we are going to look to roll out these programs, this Financial Peace University program, across Cayman, across our country, including the sister islands, and so that our Caymanians can participate in this on a broader scale and get the benefits of it. I did something similar to this when I was a minister back in 2013 to 2017, and I personally paid for that at the time, and it wasn't the same kind of course, but it was similar. And I sat through some of the sessions on that, and I found it very, very helpful, very eye-opening for me. And I'm really hopeful that by expanding this across the rest, and this is by request, because I think Sandra, that it has been very popular, and a lot of the responses that we've had on social media from other parts of the country is, look, we'd like to have this in our constituencies as well.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're planning to roll that out to all of the constituencies across the Cayman Islands. And that so look forward to that over the coming weeks as well, in terms of indicating the dates around that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we can't do every constituency. We can't do the whole country at the same time. So there will be a rolling series of dates. And this is a course which is it's like one evening a week for about 9 weeks. So it's not a huge commitment, but I will tell you that it has been such an inspiration to see so many of our Caymanians. Like we've had Caymanian mothers, single mothers, with 1, 2, 3 children, who have gone through this course, who have managed to pay off control their debt, manage their expenses, pay off their mortgages in the course of a few years. Obviously, it depends on the extent to which and the size of your mortgage and relevant factors like your income level and stuff. But I think anybody can benefit from it, and I really do encourage people to participate in this, because I think it's very helpful. And then the inspiration has been watching these and hearing the personal testimonials from these single mothers in particular, who have not only followed the program and been successful with it. Some of them have come back now and said, look, we want to be involved in teaching this as well, because we believe in this, and we have demonstrated that it works and that we can do it. And there is nothing more rewarding for our people, I think, than feel like they're in control of their own destiny, and that when you put your head down on the pillow at night, you don't have to be having these nightmares and wake up in a panic attack about where you're going to get the money from to pay this bill or pay the mortgage, and which bills you're not going to pay in order to pay the mortgage. So these are, particularly it's true of any time, I think, but particularly in the last couple of years where we've had this significant increase in inflation. We've had these rate increases driven by the US's efforts to control their rate of inflation, and that translating into significant mortgage increases for Caymanians. I know I have many Caymanian friends who have, their mortgage payments have gone up by $1,000 a month. That is a huge challenge for many of them. Yep. I've talked to the banks. I'm going to get on more to some of the discussions around that, but just in relation to this point, I've talked to some of the banks, and they're telling me, well, we haven't really seen a decline in the performance of our mortgage portfolio, meaning they're saying they haven't seen an increase in late payments or an increase in defaults. But in my view, that is only a question of time, right? Because I think people will try their best for as long as they can. But these rate increases, it's down to a quarter point increases now, but each one is just piling on top of the other one. We've had 10 increases in the last, 12 months or so. And it has made it very difficult for our people. So it's critical, I think, for us to be able to provide these programs that can help to assist our people to understand how they can manage these issues of their personal finances and their budgets. And honestly, it takes tremendous discipline. But once you learn how to do it and you can apply the discipline, we have really fantastic success stories for Caymanians that are willing to stand up and say, not only this is my story and this is my success, but I want to come out and help teach this as well. So fantastic stuff. We're looking to roll that out across the country to get that benefit out to as many Caymanians as possible.
All right, can we take a few questions? Right? Can we do a few viewer questions?
Can I just say very quickly, I wanted to get back to this interest rate issue. I am just about, I think about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, I met with the banks, the Bankers Association, and the Bankers Association represents, and the board and their representatives, I think, represent all of the retail banks in Cayman. I at the time took along two colleagues, including the Minister for Financial Services, my colleague, Minister Andre Banks. We had a meeting with the Bankers Association, and the request was simple. Look, do what you can to help our people. We know that we're in a situation where we're going to be facing an environment of rising interest rates. Consider, and we would like you to do this, delay the time period in which you switch these interest rates. Don't do it immediately just because the U.S. Federal Reserve has increased the rate by 75 basis, by 0.75% or 75 basis points. Don't just do that with no notice to our people. At least give some notice and say, we asked for up to 3 months. To be honest, I would have been happy if they'd even come back and said, okay, we'll give a month's notice, because what that would allow is it would allow people to understand this is a reality that I'm facing. In a month's time or in 3 months' time, my interest rate is going up that I'm paying on my mortgage, and that means that my mortgage amount, the actual dollars, are going to increase. It gives them time then to make adjustments in other areas of expenditure that they may have settled on. They'll know that they'll have to, reduce the amount of their, for example, their gym membership or something. I mean, they might have to find some other alternative. They may need to go to the track and go walking around there for free rather than going on a treadmill in the gym, or similar types of issues like that, where you have to balance your expenditures. Right now, what happens is the Fed meets, they announce a rate change, and by the next day or within 2 days, our local banks have changed the rates and increased it. And it starts having an immediate impact on our people and our mortgage holders here. And we've asked them, please give us some time. The response then was, no, we don't think that this is going to hurt Caymanians. We don't think that it's necessary to do this. But clearly, the last 12 months have demonstrated that there's a lot of pain that has been imposed on Caymanian families with mortgages. And we've asked them again, please consider this. We want you to give our people an opportunity to have advance notice of this and to make some adjustments. Again, they've come back and they've said, they're not interested in doing this. But I can tell you that in other overseas territories, and I'm going to take Bermuda in particular. Some of the same banks that operate here in Cayman and that are operating in Bermuda, they do not, and it's not a question of Bermuda law, but they take a different approach there. And in some cases, they have provisions in their mortgage documents that provide that, or that specify that the rate won't be changed without 3 months' notice. And certainly, what happens there as well is that they don't react directly to the Fed Reserve rate change in the in the US. So if the Fed announces a half of a 1% increase, they don't turn right around and issue in a day or two notice an increase in the prime rate in Bermuda. And I don't see why the banks here can't at least be responsive to a request to consider delaying or giving advance notice of these rate changes, so that people at least have the opportunity to make some adjustments. So that is going to be an ongoing conversation, and I have said to them that we are going to. I'm not finished. I just recently had a response from them last week, and I'm going back at them again because I think that they can do more in this high interest rate environment to help people. I don't buy the idea that they're not seeing difficulties with our people, because I know I have constituents and I have friends who are telling me, and I know exactly what the challenges are. These rates have caused significant increases in mortgage payments, so we've got to deal with that, and we've got to see if they can assist giving people a break on that. I think there's also the question of what has developed in years past when there was a really low interest rate environment, and basically since the global financial crisis in late 2007, 2008, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, we had interest rates that basically came down because the world was trying to stimulate activity. So we had a low interest rate environment. The banks at that period in time were looking at ways to raise additional money, make money, because interest rates were so low, there wasn't much opportunity for them to make a significant margin on their lending activities. So they increased fees for all sorts of little things here and there, to try to make it up. Now that there's a high interest rate environment, I would like to see some sort of adjustment on some of these fees, because the banks are making a lot more money these days, given the high interest rate environments. They're making a lot more money, and they're certainly the money that they pay on deposit rates to savers is not going up anywhere near at the rate that the prime rate for lending is going up. So I want to see some good faith. I want to see some efforts to reduce some of these costs that our people, that are suffering every day when they're going in and trying to deal with the banks and a variety of different things. Let's have some adjustments.
Yes. What sort of before we have a call in the line and a few questions coming in, but can the government realistically, other than just talking to them, is there anything the government can do to put the pressure on?
We don't. Our Cayman Monetary Authority is a regulator of the banks, but they don't have central bank functions, so we don't have direct monetary policy control. It's a bit of a sort of a hybrid system where we're regulating, but we're not. We don't have a central bank that basically helps to fund the banking operations in Cayman and can control and lend on concessionary terms and this sort of thing. So it's not. It's one of those situations where we don't have the same degree of control, and it's not likely to happen. But we can certainly, and we have examples in other places where there's a direct analogy that they're not doing the same thing there. They're not doing the same thing in Bermuda. So why do we have to insist on taking this approach in Cayman, where people are suffering? I hear the stories from the banks that they're not seeing a decline, but up to last night I had a constituent call me and say, look, my mortgage has gone up. Mortgage payment has gone up by $1,000. $1,000 a month is a huge cost increase for any family, right?
Absolutely.
So let's be honest. Sorry, go ahead now. I think you had some questions.
Yeah, we and to that point, before we take the caller, this person says that I'm paying my mortgage so that I don't lose my house, but I'm eating ramen noodles daily.
Yeah, so exactly. Those are the kinds of compromises that people are having to make.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, caller, morning, question or comment?
Yeah, morning, Mr. Morning, Mr. Panton.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
So, while I listening to you talking about certain things that I don't find relevant for me, I was saying, how come it is so hard to find a job here in Cayman? As a Caymanian, like generational Caymanian, I'm just speaking about. I don't worry about the permits and stuff like that. I'm talking about when a Caymanian has skills and education and can't find a job.
Mm-hmm. That's your question?
No, I want to hear. I mean, I'm trying to hear his response so I can have my rebuttal.
No, well, I mean, we've got other
I'm
questions.
I'm here wondering. I'm here having questions as well, and I'm hearing stuff that it does not relate to me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, leave us with that question so we can
talk about that.
Okay. All right.
I hear you, caller. I hear you. Now, if you want to contact me, I would love to have a conversation with you to try to understand the challenges that you're facing and what sort of approach you've been taking to search for a job. I mean, the last labor force survey that we have done in Cayman shows that unemployment in Cayman is at the lowest level that it has been in decades. Now, does that mean that everything is perfect? Does that mean that every single Caymanian that wants a job has a job? No. But it means that we are at a very low level of unemployment. It also doesn't mean that every Caymanian that has a job is in a situation where they're doing a job which is commensurate with their skills, with their education, and that they're maximizing their income. So in that scenario, they may be in a situation of underemployment and not making as much as they could be making or perhaps should be making. But if we recognize where we've come from in terms of the COVID environment, in terms of the lockdown that we were, and this bubble that we were in for 14 months, where we had basically half the economy not functioning very much at all, we've come a long ways, right? And things have improved significantly. We've got significant levels of opportunities that are being reflected in the economy. I go to the hotels. I was at one of the hotels last night I was at the Ritz-Carlton visiting that for a friend and constituent's retirement party. And I spoke to the general manager of the hotel. I said, "How are things going? How are things going with the hotel, with your business, the level of customers you have?" And he said, "Fantastic, everything is good. We're really happy. Things are moving along." So when they're not calling me or calling the Minister for Tourism and complaining, then I know that they're busy serving their customers and making making money. But for Caymanians, for some Caymanians, they're still where we've got to work out those opportunities and try to help address these, whatever the little issues are. So I'd be happy to talk to that young man and try to figure out how we can help them.
Okay.
Because we have programs through the WORC, and we've got training programs, we've got assistance with a variety of things. Certainly, my office here, people are being assisted all the time with writing resumes and tweaking their resumes and helping them to search for job opportunities. So I think if he can engage, we can see exactly what his situation is. It may be that we can find a way to help him get to the type of employment that he wants.
All right. Another call in line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, Sandra, and good morning to you, Honorable Premier.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Pleasure.
Morning. This is Dominique Ebanks. I hope all is well with both of you.
Yes,
I just didn't really get a lot of time listening to the show. I had some other things doing, but I know you were talking a lot about people trying to find ways and cut back, especially with renewable energy and so forth. I'm not sure if anyone brought this up yet, Mr. Premier, but we have. I know we just did a cut back on how all import cars and so forth can be that are imported into Cayman. I think we did 7 years, nothing older than that, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
We also have a policy where if you have, I guess, a hybrid or some form of electric car, and I think if it's more fully electric, you get the waiver bringing that vehicle into Cayman duty free. Am I wrong or am I right with that?
Yes, there is. I don't want to give you any incorrect information, but in general, there is, I think it's about 15%, either 10 or 15% import duty for cars that are hybrids, meaning they have both internal combustion engine and the potential for electric motors that they can charge them and run for a while on electric, and then they can also run on gas. I think that's about 15, either 10 or 15%. But for electric cars, I think if it's under a value of about 30,000 or thereabouts, there is zero duty. And I think above that, I believe there is an increase in duty based on the value above. I think it's about 40,000, maybe 30,000. I don't want anybody to take any of that as me telling you that's what it is. So I'd have to look that up specifically, but that is the general position. So hybrid cars, the rate is probably significant. I think it's about at least 10% less than you would for a normal vehicle, and then for electric cars, up to a certain value, it's definitely duty free, because we're trying to encourage a move away from fossil fuel cars, and obviously that benefits our environment. And to be frank, I drive an electric car, and it's a good feeling to be able to drive by gas stations when you look up at the boards and see how much the price of gas still is. It has gone down a bit, so we're happier about that. But if we can move away from having to rely on fossil fuel in this country for transportation and for energy, that is going to save several $100 million that could be circulating in the economy in a positive way, that is not going out of the country but staying in and helping to generate activity and helping to provide opportunities for people to create jobs, and you get the multiplier effect of that within the economy, which will be a very positive thing. And on top of that, we have significantly eliminated a lot of greenhouse gas emissions that is driving climate change around the world.
Well, thank you for that. Well, what I was getting at, obviously, the majority of these hybrids and electric cars cost much more than your old combustion engine by price. When you buy it first, obviously they tell you later on there's a savings for you, the purchaser, right?
I don't know. I'd be honest. Just to stop you 1 second. I saw yesterday, I saw an ad for an electric car that was less than $20,000. And there are other electric vehicles that I know that are less than $30,000. So the range of there are car companies like VW, for example. They are going completely electric by, I think, before 2030. Maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, they're going to go completely electric, and they're going to offer lower price options as well as mid-price options, as well as sort of luxury type electric options, much as occurs with many car manufacturers today. So it is. I just want to say that the options in relation to electric vehicles is definitely available for lower price cars.
Right, and that's fair to see that the price is coming down, because that obviously was the intention. As sales go up and they become more common, the price would eventually go down.
Right.
Iman obviously took a first start approach towards it, and I mean, this is just my personal observation. Is what I found from the approach that we did was by dropping the duty, we found a lot of people that could afford these cars at first, because they were expensive more at first than the gas combustion one.
Yeah.
And we found these people that had money took advantage of that, took advantage of the fact that government was offering this discount. And we find here in Cayman, not everybody, but there's a lot of these high-end hybrids and electric cars here that are in the hands of people that didn't need no duty break. So as far as I'm concerned, some people who buy in these high-end ones, whether it's a 15 or 20% are fully free.
Just clarify for you there, those higher end cars, I don't think get the kinds of the same duty break. So they either pay similar duty to a fossil fuel, to internal combustion engine car, or they certainly pay they pay much more than 0%. So they're not at values, I think, above $40,000 or $30,000. They're paying duty. So they're not. We're not subsidizing rich people buying expensive electric cars, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'll get the numbers on that and let you know if I can during today's show.
Yeah, and I won't look along, but it was just an idea, because obviously, I would have assumed that,
It's a fair comment. It's a good question.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, one more if I can, but before I leave. Basically, we also have other issues here with the people still disposing of vehicles, and I just want to bring that one up last, because I saw where in West Bay, for example, we had just built a new cemetery. I think they're up in Badabanu, and using that, for example, we still see people just parking their cars there with license plates on them, abandoning them, and obviously, as mentioned before, these things they connect you back to somebody. So obviously, the cars shouldn't be just dropped off there and left there, and there's no enforcement, because that seems to be the biggest problem we have here in Cayman, enforcement. Because I think that was some of the stuff you were talking about earlier on, where we don't really police ourselves and our securities control externally. And I find a lot of times that I don't blame our government or governments anytime when it comes to even crime and all that kind of stuff. I point my finger directly at the governor. Because if you're in charge of the police force and they fall under you, the deputy governor and the governor, these are the people responsible for the policing of a lot of these things. So I personally do blame the premier and the elected members when it comes to certain things, unless they were responsible for the police. But I'll stop there, let you get back to the program. I thank you so much, Mr. Premier.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Yes, you too. Have a great day.
All right. So a couple questions and comments coming in relation to the previous call, I should say, not that one. This person says the young man on there needs to stop smoking weed and maybe he can get a job. Just saying, they should be so bold talking about weed and not realizing how much that affects them. Another person said in relation to that same caller that just because you're Caymanian doesn't mean that you're going to get the job. You need to be qualified, and Caymanians need to stop having an entitled mentality. So, and I think this is him calling back again.
Yeah.
Good morning. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Panton, what I wanted to talk about really, nothing about me being employed or not. Right? Hear this now. I want to talk about this because this is a serious thing. And if you don't think it's serious, then it's not happening to you. So hear this. You have this whole entire thing coming in now where you can't import certain vehicles at a certain year or whatever, and you're gonna have a lot of people wanting their vehicles to be restored. Now, when it comes into the restoration of a vehicle, that's an expensive process, but it's needed. Correct?
I'm not okay. I mean, I hear you. When you say restore, you mean because they can't bring in older vehicles, they're going to have to restore the older vehicles they have. But it's a question of maintaining them. I mean,
but here it is now, right? With the maintenance and all those things, right? They become a person that needs to do that job. I'm self-employed, you know, so I'm going to use myself as an example with this. I paint cars at a reasonable price. I keep it under the prices of these bigger companies that doing them on the higher quality.
Thank you for that.
Now, all right. So when I do that, now it's in the favor for the people that cannot, you know, afford this price that they're doing, this ludicrous price that they're doing. I don't have no problem with them. They have to pay their employees. Now, they have people on this island that are foreigners. And I don't have no problem about anybody want to hear this, you know, because it needed to be heard. This is a problem that I am going through right now. There's foreigners on this island, and I'm not going to name out any specific nationalities, that are doing jobs way, 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 way cheaper than I am. And with the cost of living just getting so high, it bothers me that I have to try to keep my, you know, my voice, or kind of keep things on a calm. You know, when people tell you calm down, calm down, calm down, but then you in a crisis. And you talk about inflation and things like this, and then minimum wage can't even go up. There's people that here begging for money. I mean, come on now. What is going on? We're allowing, there's no protection for self-employed Caymanians that are doing reasonable jobs, good jobs, with quality, all respect to the customers, foreign or Caymanian. And then there's people out there that are damaging people's vehicles. My grandfather is a victim to that, you know. He painted a truck 10 years ago, maybe. I mean, no. He painted a truck about 8 years ago. And it was a foreigner that painted that truck before me, because apparently he is a better price than me, and I would have charged my grandfather. I'm not going to charge him a dime. I would just prefer that I know I have a place to stay. No. This is the type of problem that's going on now. That truck has to be replaced.
I mean,
because the entire thing.
10 years after the paint job?
8 years, less than 8 years. I would give it 6 years. Less than 6 years, no.
Okay.
Because really, COVID time just fly, and you just, you know, you disconnected with time.
Okay.
So you hear the frustration inside of it. That's just only a piece of it. You know, I have different income, so I'm not worried. But I still would love to know that I could get a job a little bit easier than it is right now.
Let me ask you a question, caller, because I don't know if you heard, you might have been too busy calling in to have heard the comments from some of our listeners to the program. And I'm going to read them again so that you can hear them, because they're directed at you. So it's, you know, worth.
Well, I'm not reading anything right now. No, I'm doing work at the same time.
No, just
I'm listening.
I'm going to, Alejandro, I'm going to read them to you, right? Because maybe you need to hear, you know, what people are thinking when they hear you say that you can't find a job. So one person said, let me just find them again for you. Hold on. One person said the young man on there needs to stop smoking weed, and maybe he can get a job. Just saying, they'd be so bold talking about weed and not realizing that that affects them. Another person said, hold on. Let me see.
So is this a discrimination that I smoke ganja?
Hold on.
Another person that I am incapable? You think that I am incapable?
Maybe you need to listen. Another person says Caymanians need to stop having an entitled mentality. Just because you're Caymanian,
we are
mean
entitled.
that you will get the
we
job.
Are entitled. Why not? Why not? We are entitled.
Hold on. Just because you're qualified, just because you're Caymanian doesn't mean that you get the job. You need to be qualified. And they're saying, you know, pot might be the least of your issues. And this other person says, you know, maybe he needs to stay off the radio all day, and he could find a job if he was really looking, and stop smoking pot. So they're just this.
Yeah, but I listen to what I want to listen to. My meditation, not yours.
I think that, Alejandro, you know, you and I have had this discussion obviously on the station before. You've made a decision, you know, for whatever reason, you say that you need pot in your life. And you have to understand that for a lot of employers, that will mean that you're just not employable with their organization. And that's your choice. I mean,
listen, so if that's the case, why is it legal for medicinal purpose? You mean to tell me that the people that are doing it for medicinal purposes that got prescriptions from HSA, you mean to tell me now that they are exempt from the acknowledgement that they smoke ganja too?
No, but I mean, there is a difference if you need
I'm
it for
asking a
medicinal
question.
purposes. Well, I'm answering the question if you're listening. But the point is this: an employer will always have the option to implement certain criteria. For example, I have a really good friend who part of her business is people have to drive company vehicles, right? And they deliver stuff to people's homes. And she has had complaints from her customers that they do not want people who come into their homes smelling and smoking and smelling like pot being on the job. So as a business owner, she has to make decisions.
It should be a memo. She should hold a responsibility, or he should hold a responsibility to know that they're not supposed to do that at work. The thing is about it, right? Marijuana can be moderated, just like coffee. You don't necessarily have to sit on a cup of coffee on the computer at the same time all day, right? That's a caffeine crash. When you go to sleep, you're brainwashed.
All right, my dear. Well, we got some other questions.
I wanted to say to Alejandro, I'm happy to have a conversation with him directly, and to try to see if there are ways that I can sort of solve or resolve.
Discrimination problem, sir. They always looking at marijuana as a thing that would make people disabled.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing with you on that, and I'm not going to criticize you in that respect. So what I'm saying is I would like to be able to have the conversation with you off air, where we can discuss more freely the challenges that you think you're facing.
How would I reach you? Would you message me on WhatsApp or something?
Yeah, he's got a constituency office actually that is open, and you can get calls there. I mean, you can go there and book an appointment to see him. I'll get the office number for you and send it to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Alejandro. Have a great day, and thank you for calling in. And I look forward to speaking with you.
All right, folks. These are the realities of this program. We're not going to sugarcoat it for you. If our regular listeners are saying that they listen to Alejandro every single day, this person says it takes all kinds, but he is lowering the standard of your show. Just saying, honey child. Listen, let him have his comments, but I think that what he fails to recognize is that there could be employers who would be listening to the program, as we know thousands of people do every day, who would be willing to give someone like him a chance. But when they hear this dialogue, you have got to know how that impacts their thinking, I don't know about this. I mean, you listen, they say first impressions are lasting impressions. There are those of you who come on this program on a regular and daily basis. You're making an impression, whether you recognize it or not. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra. Good morning to the premier. How are you this morning?
Not bad.
Good morning, dear.
Not bad. Mr. Premier, I do have no complaints. This morning I sent you a text more than one time. And I know that you didn't respond, and I know you're busy. I'm not stressing you, but have a look at the last text that I sent you, sir.
All
and
right.
get back to me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Is that Miss Watson?
Yes.
Okay.
936-2626.
I have seen a couple of messages that came in while I was away.
All right. So we have a question here from Amelia. I don't know if she's still listening to the program. This one came in a bit earlier. She says, hi, CMR. Does the governor not have reserve powers to overrule any legislation under the 2009 Cayman Islands Constitutional Order? As such, if any legislation is deemed to not be beneficial to the UK, it can be overruled.
Does it have that? Does the governor have that now? I think that has been one of the changes implemented in the last round of constitutional changes. What they do reserve is the right to change legislation through Section 81, and we do have situations where they have reserve powers around national security, and that's primarily what that relates to, and sort of international compliance with rules. What we have seen is, for example, on the question of decriminalization of marijuana, there are lots of people that sort of confuse decriminalization with legalization, and I think what we've seen in other overseas territories as well is that they have attempted to go the route of legalization, and they have been prevented from implementing that by the UK because they're bound by international conventions that Cayman is a party to in relation to the control of drugs, which would not allow us to legalize marijuana. So Bermuda has passed a piece of legislation in that respect, and that was knocked back on that basis. I want to, Sandra, I'm going to have to run shortly because I've got I've got a trip this afternoon over the Sister Islands. What I do want to say is, we are taking a lot of steps, have been taking a lot of steps to try to address the issues of the impacts of costs on our people in Cayman. We have as a government at this point, we have the lowest Caymanian unemployment rate in decades. As I said, that is not a conclusion that there's not more that we can do to help Caymanians to both get better employment in terms of perhaps potential unemployment situations now, but also even with the lowest unemployment rate in decades, we know we still have several hundred people who need to get jobs. So our work isn't done until we can get jobs for everybody in place. We have, as a government, we have a heart for the people. We have a social conscience. So it's not just about, it's not just about helping the big businesses and the big developments. We try to balance our interests and try to help everybody so that we can have a successful set of a successful economy which represents opportunities for all of our people. We have been addressing the issue of costs. We started doing that with free school meals for school children. We did the electricity assistance program last year that I mentioned. We reduced duties on baby items. I think it was also feminine products. We reduced fees for seniors across the board in a variety of areas, including passports and car licensing and that type of thing. We provided significant tuition assistance for students. We're moving forward on things like the sexual harassment legislation to help improve work environments for all genders, but for women in particular. And we are continuing to try to find ways, and I've described some of the programs that we're talking about putting in place. But we're continuing to try to find ways to address and provide real meaningful assistance to our Caymanian people in this high inflation environment. I've given the indication that I've engaged with the banks, and I'm trying to put pressure on them to make a real difference in terms of how they handle this situation. We have the minimum wage committee in place that is, unfortunately, we've had to extend the time in which they provide a report back to government because, as I understand it, the International Labour Organization and the representative that they work with in helping to work through the minimum wage recommendations, their ability to engage was delayed or limited. So we've now extended the timeline for them to get a report back to government to September. But we're looking forward to that because we know that there are elements within our economy and our people that want to see minimum wage increased and improved, and we want to see the extent to which we can safely do that to help people without adding to the inflationary environment that we currently have. I do want to say though, in relation to the environment, the good news, inflationary environment, the good news is the rate is coming down. Our rate of inflation has actually come in lower. I'll be issuing a press release on that once I've taken the paper and presented to my colleagues in caucus, in cabinet and caucus over the next couple of weeks. I think our rate of inflation has come down. It is less, actually, slightly less than what it is in the US now. But it's a good sign that the rate of increase in costs is actually flattening out. So that's better than having it continue at nearly double-digit rates that we've had in the past. We're also, of course, still working on the review of the PR point system, because I know there are people who are very concerned around the numbers of people that are coming through in terms of PR and eventually getting status. And there are some inequities there. There are some challenges which are creating impacts on our young Caymanians' ability to be able to get on the home ownership ladder. And that is another challenge that we are very, very focused on in terms of our National Housing Development Trust and rolling out the affordable home program with them. We have one going in West Bay, which is the Lighthouse Gardens. We have the one in Northside going. We have one in East End. We have another program in East End where we're doing a subdivision, and we're going to make the lots available at very, very affordable prices to Caymanians. So that will help our young Caymanians who are having difficulty getting access to land. I also want to say that we have been really helping many, many Caymanians, both in terms of first-time homeowners, but also those who are looking to move up, they've started with a starter home, and now they have a growing family, couples with growing families, and they're looking to move into to larger properties. We have been assisting Caymanians in that respect, and it is a significant amount of assistance provided. In aggregate, I think we probably allowed somewhere in the region in excess of $9 million in duty waivers. Sorry, not duty waivers, stamp duty, specifically stamp duty waivers and abatements to help. I'm also going to be bringing amendments to the stamp duty law to particularly set out what will be available to Caymanians, what we're operating with from a policy perspective right now, and what will be available to Caymanians. Because what I've found is that while we have been exercising the discretion to grant these waivers to really helping a lot of Caymanians, when they are competing, and this is the information they've been providing to me, is when they're competing in the marketplace to get properties, because they have to wait and write in and get a response that says, yes, we were exercising our discretion for this additional stamp duty waiver. That takes time. That takes 2 to 3 weeks on some occasions, and that is then putting them at a disadvantage when they're competing against other people, because they have to wait until they get the confirmation so they know exactly what their closing costs are going to be. Whereas other people who don't have to provide any financing and have the cash, they can come along and say, I'll give you 5% less if you give it to me right away. And oftentimes, cash talks. So it is putting some Caymanians at a disadvantage while they're competing in the marketplace to try to get certain properties. So I'm going to be bringing amendments to the stamp duty law to clearly set all of these benefits out that we are prepared to, and that we're right now from a policy perspective offering to Caymanians. So that will be in the coming months as well. Sandra, I'm going to the Sister Islands to kick off the public consultation around draft climate change policy. So I'm looking forward to spending time in Cayman Brac this evening, and then tomorrow morning we'll be in Little Cayman to have these meetings around the public consultation on the draft climate change policy. We will be taking that out after that to the different districts. This is going to make sure that Cayman can adopt a strong climate change policy, which will help to ensure that we build resiliency and we build adaptation to the challenges that we're going to face from climate change. There's no question that that these impacts are coming. For Cayman, over the last 40 years, we've recorded a 2.2 degree centigrade increase in temperature and in air temperature. So we're seeing the real impacts of climate change now. It's not a question of whether it's going to come along. We are actually seeing that. So it's really important for us to get this public consultation complete, to get people to understand exactly what's involved with the climate change policy, and to be able to roll that out, get that adopted as a national policy, which helps to guide us in how we're going to build resiliency and how we're going to adapt to the challenges so that we can continue to have a successful economy and we can continue to have a high quality of life in these our wonderful Cayman Islands.
All right, we do have 3 callers on the line. I wonder if we could quickly take those. And we do have a bit of a breaking news situation. Flow headquarters building has been evacuated because apparently they got a bomb threat this morning. So I want to remind you guys that doing those sorts of things is a very serious offense, a criminal offense. And if you do that, you can probably expect, of all places, the phone company will help the police track you down and you'll be charged. So let's not play around with those sorts of things. But caller number 1, let me see who was in line first. We had the number ending in 4695.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I just had a question relating to Section 81, is it, where the governor has certain powers? I just wanted to know, for the average person that doesn't understand how to interpret law, how far-reaching is that? Because I heard the premier mention that it's to do with national security and then international standards. So, like, for instance, we see a trend in the world now with transgenders. And let me just be clear, because I know some people know my voice. I have nothing personal against anyone who identifies as transgender. That's their business. However, we're seeing trends in the world now where it's considered child abuse if you don't allow your child to transition. And I just wanted to know, because we know Cayman is a few years behind, but we'll get there eventually. The trend will catch on. And can the governor just come and say, yes, we're going to put this into law that at the age of 10 or 12 or whatever, a child should be allowed to transition and a parent has no authority? Like, is that a possibility? Does the governor have that kind of power?
I would see that as being very unlikely. I mean, those are situations which directly relate to the families. If you were talking about somebody who's an adult, perhaps the discussion is different. But if you're talking about children, the parents.
Well, I mean, certain places in the world, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm sure places in the world thought, this would never come here. This would never happen here, and it has. So does the governor have that authority?
I don't think that is one of the areas in which there would be that kind of authority by the governor. The most recent exercise of Section 81 was in relation to the domestic partnership law, and that was arguably exercised on the basis of protecting the interests of same-sex or couples that wanted to have the right to a union mechanism outside of marriage. That's different, and that is something that we had a Court of Appeal decision on, which said that Cayman needed to have that option in place. We would have faced endless litigation, I should say, if the civil union domestic partnership type arrangement hadn't been put in place, and that was the track we were on. That's quite a huge leap away from questions about people who are transgender or people who have a body dysmorphia issue and feel like they're, that they should be a different sex and that type of thing. I don't know of any jurisdiction in the world where that is being forced upon families. There are questions around whether adults should have support in terms of wanting to do that, but I'm not aware of any jurisdiction where that is being forced on parents with young children. And I don't see that being an issue that happens in Cayman. I've, to be honest, I think that is more of a sort of a theory rather than a reality.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So
Colin.
I just want to know if it's correct that the governor essentially does have that power, but it's highly unlikely that will happen.
I don't think that I don't think Section 81 would relate to those types of circumstances.
Okay. Thank you so much, Premier.
All right, thanks too. Yeah. Okay, so we've got, let's see if we still have anybody left. I think the other ones may have had to go, so I know they were on hold for a while. But it's always a good idea to try to call in early. I know people sit back and wait before calling in. Premier, we had tons more questions for you that we never actually got to. I think that's proof positive that we need you here more often. My apologies for not getting to those. Maybe we could ask this one question about digital currency. Could you ask the Premier if the government is looking into implementing digital currency, or are they going to stick with the fiat currency?
No, I'm. There is no plan to have a government-supported digital currency. I mean, we have cyber currency that exists at the moment, but that is not something that is central to the government, the economy. There are people who can have the option of utilizing that if they want to, utilizing Bitcoin in particular, for example. But certainly from a regulatory perspective and from an official government policy perspective, it is not going to be a position that we would support cyber currency officially as some mandate.
Mm-hmm. All right, two more callers. If you guys can be quick, we'll start with the one ending in 8414. Caller? Hello? All right, let's go on to the next one, 4474.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra.
Morning. Yes, hello?
Good morning, Sandra and the Premier.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you and the Premier.
Good morning. Good morning.
First of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for giving us pensioners a good little raise this month.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's taking his time. Hello, caller. All right, we might have to move on to
Hello.
the next. Yes, sir. You got to speak with a little bit of speed this morning. We're running out of time.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sandra.
Yes, sir.
I know the premier is only one person, but something had to be done about the strata fees situation here in Grand Cayman.
Strata fees, okay.
Yeah. Mine just went up like $210 per month more. That's $200 a week I'm paying for strata fees in a 2-bedroom condo in Prospect. For a person who's retired, that's really ridiculous.
Have you raised any concerns with your strata directly about why it's gone up?
They say because of the insurance.
Right. Which that's again trickling down from places like Florida that got hit by hurricanes last year. They don't have a good insurance plan in place. So all of us through reinsurance is going to be impacted.
I think it's a combination of things, Sandra. I think we do have.
I understand that, but.
Sorry, I was going to say I think we do have increases in insurance rates, but we also probably have some inflationary impacts. The cost of doing business has gone up as well. So there probably is some cost increases in terms of maintenance and keeping the grounds and that type of thing. But also probably a significant element of that may be an increased rate or premium for insurance coverage. We live in a beautiful place in the Caribbean. We live in paradise. Unfortunately, it comes with some challenges, some costs. Even if we don't get impacted directly by hurricanes, if some of our neighboring territories and states get majorly impacted, that has an impact on the rates of insurance that we all pay. The unfortunate thing is the reinsurance market, which is the pool of money at the end of the day, which helps to reinsure some of the risks that the insurance companies locally have to take on. That is tightening. There is less of an appetite to continue to take on. Hurricane Ian was a very expensive hurricane that recently impacted in the last year.
All right, so callers, just
a lot of feedback going on, but anyway,
yeah, callers.
The gist of it is that we have a rising insurance premium environment, and we have a tightening of the reinsurance market. So that's driving us in a difficult situation where costs are going up. And so I sympathize with that caller in the rate increase in the strata fees, but I don't think there's anything government can really do to manage that situation effectively.
All right, next caller, please. Number ending in let me see here, 2751. Question or comment? Hello, caller.
Good morning, honey child. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Premier.
Good morning there.
Beyond all measures.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with your connection, but it isn't.
Remember my question I missed?
Is it just me that's
because I'm hosting?
I hear the same thing. I think it's the connection.
Are you hearing me clearly or not?
No, the connection is very, very poor. Yeah. Maybe try calling back.
Shall I hang up and call back?
Yes, I think so. So we'll go ahead and do the next caller, 0677. Go ahead, please. Hello, morning caller.
Hello, Mr. Premier. Morning.
Oh, gosh.
Hello.
Good morning. We seem to be having some audio difficulties.
Let me unplug and replug them back in. I don't know if it's on my end. Morning caller.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
There you go. That's much better. Thank you.
That's better.
Come here, you give me up. You don't love me anymore. But listen, one question I have. I hear you. I know that they take off fees for seniors in certain things, but what about the police record? That's why I have, because they're still charging you for that. And I am a senior. Soon get up the hill and can't get down, and they do charge me for post. They reduce the cost on the post office box. They don't charge me for visa. They don't anymore. I don't have a visa, but they still charge me for police record. Why can't that be exempt for seniors?
Well, that is something that we could have a look at. I don't know.
Yes, because somebody was telling me about his government, but I say, well, ain't the passport thing government too? So if they can give you one thing, give you the whole hog head and a half.
All right.
Well, I mean, we have a certain cost of providing services, and I guess
sometimes 25 cents is hard to find, but you think $25.
$25, yeah, yeah.
And especially like I tell them, I work in for Walker & Company, not the law firm that pays. And then my legs are weird now too, so I won't be able to soon walk.
All right, there. Well, I'll follow up on that and see if there's
all right. Bye.
If there's an opportunity to address that. But thank you for your call. Really appreciate it, and always look forward to hearing from you.
All right, we've got, I think, I managed to hang up on everybody. One last call on the lines. Morning caller. Welcome to the program.
Sandra?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to Premier this Edward Whitaker, if I could speak to him when he returned from the Sister Island.
All right. Shall you, if you WhatsApp me, I can send you the constituency office number and you can make an appointment to go and see him.
Yeah. Well, he knows who.
Okay. You catching the voice?
Not quite, but.
Dampe.
Sorry?
Dampe.
Oh, yeah.
Working.
Yeah, I got you. I got the voice now, for sure. All right, brother.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right. It looks like everybody decided to wait till the last minute to call you, Premier, but I know you've got to go.
Yeah.
So, of course, we thank you for your visit with us this morning. And folks, the next time the Premier's on, my suggestion is call a bit earlier and get him before the last half an hour, because now we've got the phone lines literally ringing off and he's got some other commitments. So Premier Panton, as always, we appreciate you coming on the program, at least getting to address some of the questions and hear some of the comments from the listeners.
Yeah. And Sandra, it's always a pleasure to be on air with you and to be able to interact with people in our wonderful Cayman Islands. I want to, before I go, I want to extend congratulations to Darren on his recent completion of his helicopter training in Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
We are extremely proud of him. I'm so proud of him as a young Caymanian, and his interaction recently in the youth empowerment symposium that was run through the youth ministry under Minister Bush was excellent. He's married to a wonderful young Caymanian lawyer who is both of them are just absolutely lovely, fantastic people. And I wish him all the best in his continued training. And we're so proud of him. And I'm looking forward to the day that he comes back and becomes a part of the helicopter pilot program in Cayman, to be able to, because it's so amazing that we are blessed to have two helicopters that we can utilize, both to protect our people, but also to provide services and assistance to our fellow overseas territories. So we not just overseas territories, we provided assistance to the Bahamas, for example. We provided assistance to TCI, and it's great for Cayman to be in that position where we can assist. And it would be so amazing to have this young Caymanian being able to captain and pilot, be pilot in command of operations like that. So looking forward to that day with a great deal of anticipated pride. I want to wish everybody a wonderful Friday. Please be careful, take care. I tell you, I came within 4 inches of having a crash yesterday on our roads. It was the closest I have been to a major crash ever in my life that didn't actually result in an accident. Literally, we stopped like 4 inches apart.
Oh my gosh!
And I was on the way to a meeting with the governor, and it was just a phenomenal situation that I don't want to repeat. So I want people, this is an issue that we discuss frequently. I want people to be courteous. I want people to drive carefully. The thing that hurts me more than ever is every time we have a fatal accident on our roads, because I know the kind of pain that means for everybody and around that person and that family. We've had 5 fatalities this year already. Please, folks, let's try not to get back to the numbers that we had last year. So let's be careful. Let's be courteous. Let's be helpful and kind and generous to our fellow man. And let's have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Be safe. And Sandra, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to come back on the show again to be able to talk to wonderful people of this amazing jewel in the Caribbean Sea that we call our home, the Cayman Islands.
2 more quick comments. This person says, government also stopped the external exam fees and graduation fees for Cayman students. That alone saved me as a single mother $800.
Yeah.
A small gesture is greatly appreciated. Please read my comment so that this government knows that they do have people supporting them and understands that they cannot fix all of the issues and problems we are facing.
And I haven't had time to go through a whole extensive list or exhaustive list of the things that we've been doing, but I think I've presented quite a list and snapshot of what we've been doing, and I'm grateful for the acknowledgement that that has been helpful, because sometimes we do these things and we don't know the extent to which it helps people.
Yeah, so here's another one. Morning, Sandy.
So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. This one says, morning, Sandy. I'd publicly like to thank the Premier and MP Heather on behalf of my daughter and her husband for providing the free money management course in their districts. I only hope that the government would put this on in the schools even. So another person, thankful for that course. All right, Premier Panton, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. God bless, and look forward to seeing you and talking with you in the weeks to come. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right, folks. Jackie says, thanks, Premier, for the visit on CMR. I think you need to come on more often. Miss Brenda, good morning, says, considering how hard they've tried to keep Darren down, it is good to see that he is persevering. We do have a caller in the line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, honey child. How are you?
Morning, not bad. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored beyond all measures. And good morning, Premier.
He's no longer in the show. He had to go.
But my question went for him. I've been trying to get through like hell.
Yeah, I know.
All right, bye.
Okay. She really didn't want to talk to me this morning. But listen, folks, again, everybody kind of waited. There was like a lull in the phone calls. You guys waited until the last minute, and then it was like 5 people all calling at once, and we had them all in queue, and that's how it is. He'll be back. Jackie is saying, yep, come on more often. I think that's the point, really. Twice a month. Congratulations again, Darren. Yes, this is a fantastic story. And then I want to touch on the nurses situation, because I meant to ask the Premier about this, but of course, he's got so many questions that were coming in, but this is a loophole that the government definitely needs to fix. I'm sure you guys saw the story about 2 nurses now being sort of caught with fraudulent documentation. How this went down, from my understanding of the situation, is that essentially they came into the Cayman Islands on what is called what's the list called again? Hold on one second. Let me tell you guys. There's the primary list registration, and then there is the institutional list registration, right? The story is they came in on the institutional list registration, which means that they can only practice at that specific institution. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean that these people might not be qualified nurses wherever they've come from, but there is a process and a procedure that has to be followed for you to transition from the institutional list to the primary list, right? What they did was they moved. So they went to Jamaica, got a license from Jamaica, came back to the Cayman Islands then for employment opportunities, saying, here's my piece of paper from Jamaica. Now, Jamaica is on the list. If you go to section 5.1 of the, which piece of legislation is this? Of the Health Practice Act, I believe it is. You have a list of, for full registration, all the countries that are acceptable: Australia, Canada, Jamaica, New Zealand, South Africa, United Kingdom, and the United States of America. So they have found a very convenient loophole going through Jamaica. What essentially is happening by them going through Jamaica is Jamaica is not checking any of the stuff. So Jamaica's criteria, and you can go to the Nursing Council of Jamaica on their website, Jamaica isn't verifying the documentation that's supplied to them. So their rule is, if you have obtained a nursing degree or nursing certification from a place that has a similar curriculum to what you'd have to do in Jamaica, just show us the curriculum, show us the degree, and basically we're going to rubber stamp you. You get your license, and then you're on your way. The problem with that rubber stamping is that they're rubber stamping them, not verifying the certificate that they provided, nor are they verifying the actual curriculum. So you know how easy it is to go to any top nursing school in the world and print off their curriculum, say, oh yeah, here's the curriculum that I did, and here's a certificate supposedly from the school. Turns out 2 nurses were using the exact same certificate number and everything, and the same curriculum in order to get this license out of Jamaica. Come back, one was working at Doctors Hospital, one was working at HSA. Now, I'm going to take my hats off to HSA, because apparently they're the ones who discovered this. You know, HSA just recently got their JCI accreditation, which is like the gold standard. Everybody's trying to get that if they can. They've been working on it, I think, for years now. Finally, they were successful. Part of that JCI accreditation is they had to implement certain things. Remember I told you guys a few months ago, they've even hired an in-house attorney now. He left over from the DPP's office, from the prosecution's office. He's now working with HSA. And one of the things that they have since implemented, I know because I saw the waiver form myself, they've asked every staff member, sign this waiver form that we can go back and check on all your credentials that you provided. Some workers at the HSA were like, oh, Sandy, I don't think I'm going to sign this. You know, what do you think? They were asking my opinion. I said, what's the problem? If you have the certifications, you don't have any problem with people calling and verifying it. I'm just saying, I don't see what the issue is. You know, if you doubt that I have a degree from USF, you're like, I don't know if Sandra has a master's. That was my bachelor's degree. I don't know if she has a law degree. I don't know if she has this master's degree that she claims from Nova Southeastern University. You can call, you can verify, call the university, ask them, you know, did you issue this diploma and this person's name on this date? And these records are kept. And in fact, in a lot of places like the United States of America, this is a matter of public record. This is no top secret. And nobody with a bona fide degree should feel any way, shape, or form about it. But what we have here, folks, is a loophole that has existed forever and needs to be closed immediately. Because when those individuals come back to the Cayman Islands with this nursing diploma, nursing license is what it is really, from Jamaica, the local nursing council then rubber stamps it. They themselves are not verifying. Everybody's dropping the ball. Listen, I don't have any expectations of the Jamaica Nursing Council to uphold standards for Cayman. If there's a loophole there that people are taking advantage of, what we need to have happen is the Cayman Islands, what do they call themselves? Nursing and Midwifery Council, NMC. They are the ones who need to be verifying, not just because, you know, it says you may issue a license if they have this, you may issue a license here in Cayman if they have a license from these other jurisdictions. It doesn't say that you must. And it certainly does not say that you do it without any verification of anything. Seriously? How has this loophole existed for all of these years and has never been closed? The Nursing Council should be ashamed of themselves. I don't know who sits on the Nursing and Midwifery Council. They should be ashamed of themselves. And now our MPs who obviously are aware of this. The premier, I'm sure, has read the story. He's aware of it. The Minister of Health and Wellness is now aware of it. Legislatively, you need to close this loophole. We do not want, and of course, right away, Doctors Hospital was like, oh yeah, as soon as we found out that an investigation was afoot, we said, okay, now the person's no longer working with us. HSA got rid of their person. But that's not the point. The point is they were working in healthcare facilities. How did they get the license here to begin with? There has to be some degree of accountability. Now we know that there's an issue that exists. Can we fix it? Because it seems like a pretty easy fix to me. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm grateful.
Good.
I'm glad you touched on that or revealed that about fraudulent degrees, diplomas, certificates, whatever, because it is frightening that it was actually at a hospital or a health facility. But I am going to say this. Now that that has been put out there, I hope that the rest of the institutions will never examine theirs, because I can tell you that where I used to work, there were many that were, if you called anywhere to follow up on them, I'm sure they would have said, who? Never heard of him, never heard of her. Okay. And it is still happening. But it depends on where they're going. And what is very painful about it is because Caymanians are not allowed to have these jobs, they have their own kind rubber stamping them in. And the problem will exist until the problems are fixed. And that is very sad, because everyone seems to want to dance around the dance floor, but they don't want to get in the middle and say, here, I will do the solo. Okay? Well, maybe I shouldn't be speaking in parables, but I'm just sick. This whole country is a rubber stamp. And I'm a Caymanian. I can say I've been here long enough to see the changes, and they have not been for the betterment of any Caymanian. That gentleman that calls your show, Billy, I'm glad that he's bold enough to speak out and say what his experiences were working here in Cayman when he tried to assist Caymanians in moving into their rightful positions in the workforce. And that was right there within the government. And then when he went out privately, but I don't know who the government was at the time, they saw it fit to use the government's money to pay over $80,000 in legal fees to stop him. And these are people, as he said, who came to Cayman the same way that he came. In other words, on a work permit or on a contract. This is the only country in the world, I don't care how big it is or how small it is, this is the only country in the world that this kind of stuff is happening in. And you know why it's happening? Because the rest of the world is having a good laugh at us. You're stupid. You're idiots. Oh, we just gotta go down there and tell them we can do this, tell them we can do that. But they think the people ain't doing their homework before they decide to come here. No, we need some people that got some gumption in their backbones. And what's that word that you like to use? Testicular fortitude. Because that's what we need. And I don't care what their sex is. Just come with it. Because that's what we need. And then our voting public also need to understand what their power is. That is not just an X. You're holding the power. Make sure you educate yourself on how to use that X or X's, whatever amount you may have, correctly. That's how we're going to change things here. We cannot keep repeating the same mistakes. It means we haven't learned anything.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Anyway,
thank you so much, caller. Really appreciate those comments.
It's today Friday.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Thank you.
Well, anyway, happy Friday.
Thank you.
To you and your listeners, and a wonderful and safe weekend.
Yes, thank you so very much. RD's asking where are they from, We were working overtime, RD. I've been sitting on this story actually for the last month, still collecting data, trying to get a response from different people involved in this. I've even reached out to the Nursing Council in Jamaica. I'm trying to see what they have to say for themselves, because they should probably close that loophole on their end as well. But again, we can't mandate or dictate what Jamaica does and what they don't do. We need to make sure that in this jurisdiction, things are airtight, right? So, I believe that they might be, and I don't even know that it matters in terms of, because this could be anybody doing this. And I suspect that over the years, there have been a lot of people who've used that loophole and come into this country. But I believe that at least one of them was an Indian national, maybe both. But again, we've not gotten any confirmation on exactly who they are. So folks, you have to be diligent. Like I always say, it's like predators and scammers. They can be anybody, right? Don't think, oh, a Caymanian isn't going to scam me, or a Canadian isn't going to scam me, or from the UK, they talk prim and proper, they're not going to scam me. Scammers come in all shapes and sizes and colors and accents and nationalities. All right. So the other thing that I want to talk about briefly is this case. And I know we're into overtime, so I'm sure we're ready to cut off on the radio. But I do want to talk about this case with the prison officer, right? Because this is really quite interesting. So he was in court this week, granted bail, which is kind of crazy, on today's what, Friday? I think it was Tuesday. He was in court, got a bail variation application approved. Shockingly enough, this guy is being accused of some 19 immigration offenses, of making false statements, and also of taking illegal payments. So this is someone who was recruiting workers from from Colombia, bringing them into the Cayman Islands through his side business. And through that business, he was actually then, essentially having them pay for their own work permits. That's an offense. Where he is a little bit maybe not so bright compared to others is there are people who do it and then they don't submit the work permit. So that's not an immigration offense if you don't submit the work permit. Immigration can only grab you once you have signed on the dotted line and submitted paperwork and made certain assertions on that documentation to them. Otherwise, it's a police matter. The police can do something about you taking people's money and not putting in more permits, but immigration offenses come into play once the work permit has been submitted. So he's the prison literacy coordinator of all things, claims to have a master's degree, claims to, I guess, be working on his doctorate degree. His name is Sigfredo Castel Breton. He's been charged with a total of 19 immigration-related offenses. The Colombian national was granted a variation in his bail application Tuesday that allowed him to travel home for a month so that his mom can get surgery, his elderly mother. He has not yet entered any pleas. Apparently, he's waiting on his legal aid application to be approved. So Magistrate Vanessa Allard has permitted the 48-year-old to get his passport back in order to travel to Colombia. Somebody here, I don't know what fool this was, but somebody here has put up a local surety for him of $5,000. He's scheduled to travel on June the 5th, and he has to return by July the 5th and must provide the court with his travel itinerary, and then his passport has to be surrendered within 24 hours of him returning to the Cayman Islands. How many of you think this man is coming back? So honestly, let's do a show of yes, he's going to return, or no, those magistrates ain't got no sense in terms of this. Really? We have seen people do this before. Oh, I got to go to secure my house because a hurricane is coming. My mama is sick. The dog needs acupuncture. The dog is sick. This, that, the next thing. They leave the jurisdiction and they will not, under any circumstances, be returning. Trust me, he is not coming back. Let's give him a 20% chance that he's going to return. Now, apparently, Sigfredo has Cayman status. He has a grandmother or somebody with Cayman connection, so he's gotten it actually through his lineage, which is interesting. Yep, somebody down the line was a Caymanian. So he has gotten it because of a Cayman connection, but he still holds a foreign passport. He still has a home in Colombia. He's a qualified man, so it's not like he is not going to be able to return to Colombia and find a job. He's a literary coach. He has a master's degree. According to his LinkedIn, he speaks French, Spanish, and some German.
Another fraud.
Yeah, probably. Morning, caller.
Morning, Sandra. My thing is, right, and I see it as a bias situation. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago or so, there was a prisoner that had applied for an application. I think he had called in your show as well, because I think his mother, father had passed away, and they refused to release him to go to attend his family funeral. So what's the difference here? Listen to me, this guy can tell me his mother's going to have surgery. It can be cosmetic surgery. What type of surgery? Is it a life and death situation? But you want me to tell you what? They should throw that same judge in the cell hole that he needs to be in. And my thing is, they also, right, the government granted him his status, right? Because according to them, he has family ties. There's about a handful of Britons or Briton or whatever they use here. Some of them resided in West Bay, right? Government can also take that status from you if you've committed an offense against the government or committed murder. So let's see what they're going to do
if he's convicted, yes.
Yeah, but he will be convicted because he admitted.
Yeah, I mean,
again, he's working alongside of this same little guy that went out. That remember at one point in time he wanted to take the Cubans. He went and asked government or immigration and asked if he can take the Cubans if they wanted to leave, and government told him no, and he disappeared. Remember the same Douglas? He was working alongside this guy. It's one of the biggest crooks that ever existed in Cayman. So I mean, this is crook for crook. The government inside the higher officials at government got their eyes corrupt or what? Do they need the people to do their work for them? Well, they better hire me. I'll get a lot of. The first thing I would do, fire the higher tops at government, then do a clean sweep from, because this is foolishness that is going on now. There's too much cover up that the Caymanian, the born Caymanian or the inherited Caymanian, the old generation Caymanian siblings, grandchildren, brothers and sisters cannot get their little way, but then a foreigner can come here and get a status, consider him Caymanian because he is when he get that paper, and commit all offense and all crime, and he got a slap on the wrist. It's not fair. It's not fair. And all the MLAs, all the members, including the Premier and everybody who don't like it, they need to sit down and put two and two together. Why is so much people coming here, getting these PR and these status, committing these offenses, coming in here with fraudulent documents, and then the Caymanian that burn a ganja split or get kept with a little coke in his car or get catch speeding and get a little police report, he get thrown in prison. That go on his criminal record. He come out.
Well,
he can't
I don't know if there's such a thing as a little. I was going to say of a little coke, but
a crime is a crime. Crime is a crime. An offense is an offense. So I don't see why you should penalize. I don't agree with everything my people do, but I don't see why you should sit down, penalize, and give my people a hard time when you got an expert coming in here with a fake documentation or coming in here with a criminal history. How do you know he's qualified a certain degree? The one that brought in the gun. You know what? If it was my sister, my brother, my mother, and my father bring up a gun charge, I would have sued the government, or I would have bring this Russian guy, Canadian, whatever, case up to court and say, I think my family needs to be on bail too, since he's out on bail. And I refuse anybody to pull his passport because this one has his passport. Maybe they need to close down the Enterprise City because all they're bringing in is criminals into Cayman. That's my 2 cents. Bye.
All right, my love. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, folks. It's a hot mess. We'll see what happens. He has a company called Immersion Empowerment, which he's opened here in the Cayman Islands. He is the CEO of that. So he was recruiting these Colombian nationals for his own company, as well as for several construction companies, including BDJ Construction and Douglas Construction. Doesn't seem like those companies knew what shenanigans he was up to. He did admit in an affidavit to the offense. So I don't even know, but he hasn't entered a plea yet. And of course, his attorney is Clayton Furan. Good luck with that, sir. So we'll see what happens once he gets his legal aid application approved. It is quite interesting, I must say, to be quite frank and honest, that I don't even, my head is having a hard time understanding and wrapping around all of this, to be quite frank. He is a Caymanian, right? Let's break this down for a second. Because he has Caymanian connections, he was able to get status, but you notice that he's not recruiting any Caymanians. He's going back to Colombia. That's how you know when you really, is he Caymanian or is he Colombian? Having that piece of paper and making a move like this where all your workers are being recruited from Colombia. That's because why? You can take advantage of these workers. You can make them pay their work permit fees, right? They're less likely to say anything about abuses, but I guess them Spaniards fix him, his own people. Went and complained on his behind. Take that, Papi Chulo. Yes, que planchera. They reported him. And now he's facing 19 counts of falsifying. What's the official? Hold on. Let me get you the official charges here. Making a false statement contrary to Section 76(1) of the Immigration Transition Act. And the next offense, having people taking payments for work permit fees contrary to Section 63, subsection 3 of the Immigration Transition Act. So he should be going to jail right up into where he was working. And he can, look at the benefits of this. Let's look at the positive side. It is a Friday after all. The positive side is he can be in prison and still be helping people with their literacy skills because he's one of them now. He's going to be an inmate. What a hot mess. He was very difficult to find in terms of a photo. Let me show y'all his photo because I really had to work overtime on this, honey child. This required some of those detective skills that y'all hear me talking about. He was, honey, hiding, deep dive hiding. And you know me over here, I'm digging and digging and digging and digging. I'm like, oh, I gotta find you, son. So we were only able to find a group photo of him, but nonetheless, this is him right there, honey child. So when y'all see him leaving the airport around the 5th of next month, wave at him and say, bye-bye. We know you're not coming back, sir. We know you're not coming back. We're not going to see you again. Take care. Have a safe journey. At some point, these magistrates need to stop playing the fool because they're taking chances when they should know better. A $5,000 cash surety? No, Bobo. You know what it should have been? 25 grand as the minimum. Because then whoever he got to put up $5,000 for him is a Caymanian fool. Let me be very frank and honest, right? Putting their neck on the line for him. But $5,000 to some people, not really a whole lot of money. To me and you, that might be the cat's meow. But to some people, like, oh, okay, $5,000, they can afford to lose $5,000. You make it something more like 25 grand now. And he's not going to find too many people willing to put their neck on the line for him. And that's exactly what needs to happen. Do we have an extradition treaty with Colombia? I'm curious about all these other questions that this has now led me to ask. Because if we don't have an extradition treaty with Colombia, you don't think that that's a risk? Time will tell, honey child. The Americans have done it before. They've absconded and they've left the jurisdiction. They didn't even come back for their trial. These judges, some of them, I do raise my eyebrow at. Trust and believe. Because I do see where there appears to be some foolishness going on. But I sit there every day, not every day, literally, but you know what I mean? A lot. And I see a lot of people getting bail, including Caymanians. So I'm like, they shouldn't be getting bail either. Anyway, we'll keep you updated. That was another CMR exclusive story that we broke. Nobody else has that one for you. We'll keep you updated in that. We'll keep you updated on the fake nurses to see if that comes to anything. You know, they claim they're investigating the medical council, whatever. We'll see what their investigation, which rabbit hole the investigation leads them down. You just need to fix the problem. Investigate. You investigate. We, the people, never get to see an investigative report. We don't know the outcome of your investigation. Nothing happens. What's the point of an investigation? You're just wasting time and money and resources, pretending like you give a damn. So somebody says that they actually called Stephen Barrett. Is he? He's the former director. Who's Stephen Barrett? At the prison to inform him that this guy was a scammer fraudster. He told them to leave prison business alone. What a hot mess. There you go. They're not listening. They think they know people. Damn fools. This person says he's one of those Colombians that is looking to get rich, honey child. We're importing them, those people at risk to our islands. Sandra, can you check to see if he has a certificate? Because all of them could be damn lies, and they getting all these certificates because they're paying for them money. He's not going to help any prisoners in Cayman because he's not coming back. Hot mess. I tell you. I don't know, my dear. What a hot mess. All right. Let's leave it there. Thank you guys so much for the little bike-a-thon that we had during this morning's show. I don't know in total how many minutes I put in, but hopefully at least a little 10 minutes or 15 minutes in total. You know, I would do a couple minutes. And listen, I really appreciate the premiere being on today because can I tell you that, you know, it was like great to have him talking for a minute and then I could cycle and then jump in and ask questions. And then when he started talking again, I could cycle. So that kind of worked out. I'm not so sure if I'm here by myself, if I could really kind of keep up, but you know what? We're not going to give up. The thing here is we got a plan of action now. We're going to keep with it. So next week, we're going to do some more cycling on Monday. And this is the law of a little bit goes a long way. Every single day you practice something. Even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, you practice your craft, right? So 5 or 10 minutes a day on this bicycle is still 5 or 10 minutes of exercise that otherwise I would not have had. So I'm going to stick with it and we're going to see how it goes. Okay. So let's see how Monday goes. We have some guests coming in. So while they're talking, I could be cycling. That's how we're going to do it, honey child. All right, folks, please have a good and safe weekend until Monday. Please don't drink and drive. Don't drive and be stupid. Take your time on the roadways. I mean, you know, come on now. Somebody was saying that there are people driving on the Linford Pearson Highway. Yesterday at 7:30 a.m., one driver was doing 85 miles per hour. How could they do that in morning traffic? And the other driver is following at 69 miles per hour. In morning traffic? I don't think you're going to be moving that fast. But anyway, the premier mentioned how he almost got in an accident. Y'all need to slow down. What the hell's wrong with y'all? Sure. Learn how to drive and slow down.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.